It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. The new iPhone's here. The new iPhone's here. Jason Snell, John C. Dvorak, and Dwight Silverman are also here to talk about it and all the tech news. This Week in Tech is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is Twit, This Week in Tech, episode 476, recorded September 21st, 2014. Brain in a jar. This Week in Tech is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own professional website or online portfolio. For a free 2-week trial and 10% off, visit squarespace.com and use the offer code TWIT. And by Citrix GoToMeeting, the proven solution for meeting and collaborating with your team online anywhere. Start your free 30-day trial of GoToMeeting today. Visit gotomeeting.com, click the Try It Free button, and use the promo code TWIT. And by Stamps.com. Start using your time more effectively with Stamps.com. Use Stamps.com to buy and print real U.S. postage the instant you need it right from your desk. To get my special offer, go to Stamps.com now, click on the microphone, and enter TWIT. That's Stamps.com, offer code TWIT. And by Audible.com. Sign up for the Platinum Plan and get 2 free books. Go to audible.com/twit2. And don't forget to follow Audible on Twitter. User ID audible_com. It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, the show that covers the tech news. Boy, it's been a big week. I'm still sleep deprived from waiting in line at the iPhone store for hours and hours. Fortunately, all I have to do is sit back because we have one of those panels where if I get a word in edgewise, I'll be damn lucky. We're going to start off with Jason Snell, lately detached.
Yes.
From Macworld Magazine and IDG. Now
I am a free agent, baby.
He's a free agent at sixcolors.com, cleverly named.
Thank you.
I like it. I know what the 6 colors are.
Yes, that's the old Apple rainbow.
Yeah, that's
great. There was a great video about Steve Jobs talking about.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm really happy for you. I think this is good for you, and we'll talk about what happened at Macworld because I'm curious. John C. Dvorak's also here. He still writes for print magazines.
Yeah, of course.
Are there some left?
No. I still turn them in, though.
I think PC Magazine Brazil is still in paper.
No.
No?
No, that's been long gone, actually. I got to turn this. How do I'm sorry, let me get this.
John likes to watch the show.
He's watching his own live stream.
That's
nice.
I'm going onto the chat room so I could say hello.
Oh, good. That's
Anyways, good to be here.
Nice to have you.
Yeah, and you got 2 of these iPhones.
Actually, we have 4 because Jason brought his too.
4.
Yeah, we have many iPhones.
And there's a bunch
and
in the
cardboard
back.
iPhones.
There's a bunch in the back. And also here, Dwight Silverman from the Houston Chronicle. He's got his. You opted for the little one.
Yes, I have played with the big one, and it's just too big. I carry my phone like in my shirt pocket around, and the big one would be like this, right?
Yeah.
So I need to, and I'm trying real hard to give myself breast cancer. So far, I haven't done it, but this baby ought to do it.
Yeah, baby. No, I can keep this in my breast pocket, even the big one. But I'm
it's
used to
easier to get to. I hate getting it out of my jeans, or some. It's just.
I think it's dashing. It looks like a little pocket square. And if you put the camera side out, people run.
You make people nervous.
Yeah.
Yes, make people nervous.
Actually, I
thought you were going to get the black.
There is no black. That's black front and space gray back.
Space gray.
Oh, I thought that was
the black as Apple will get.
Yeah.
I actually thought the gold was nice. There were very constrained supplies when I was 41st in line at our local Apple store. Got up at 3 in the morning, shocked to see there were people there since 8 in the evening or earlier. There were hundreds in line. It was the longest line I'd seen in quite some time. I think there was a lot of demand for this iPhone.
Yeah, and you could also order it online if you wanted to. I mean, I got mine delivered the next.
Now you tell
me. I had to wait till like 4:30 in the afternoon.
Oh no!
like a
what
monster,
did you do
like an animal.
Between the morning and 4:30.
Set up a webcam so I could just monitor my front door, so I could be there the moment
I actually
it arrived.
got up at midnight on Friday morning, last Friday. And I couldn't get into the Apple Store. I kept pounding it. The Apple Store was crowded, but I gave up at midnight. I went from midnight to 1, and I did finally go to Verizon. I got one on Verizon. I got one for my mom on Sprint. that night. But I thought, and it's fun to get in the Apple line and you meet interesting people.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very diverse line these days. There's
I
a lot
can't imagine
more.
anyone more interesting than someone who'd be in a line since Tuesday waiting to buy a
You're
phone.
a little groggy.
That has got to be the most interesting people you've ever run across.
Okay, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I'll give you an example.
I'm here.
I'm standing there. I'm talking to a guy. We find out we're Yale classmates, class of 1977.
That tells you everything you need to know about Yale.
The guy worked at MIT Media Lab. His mentors were Marvin Minsky.
Yeah, I met Marvin.
Yeah, brilliant guy. And Seymour Papert and Timothy Leary.
Uh-huh.
And, I mean, it was fascinating. But there's a variety
Apparently
of
he
people now.
spent a lot of
line
time
at
with
Apple
Leary.
stores. Yeah.
That'd be my guess.
Anyway, he actually showed me his app. He's working on a very interesting AR app. So, which we'll probably have him on once it comes out. So, I agree with you, Dwight. Believe it or not, I thought I was going to want the 6 Plus because I'd used giant Android phones for the last few years. And I kind of like the little one. What do you think, Jason?
I bought. Well, I mean, the one I've got the review unit of the 6 Plus, but this is the one I bought, and it's the knowing full well. Having used both of them, I bought the 6. One. Yeah, I think there are people for whom the 6 Plus is going to be perfect because it's got longer battery life, because it's got a bigger screen. Anybody who has vision problems, there's basically a large print mode that'll scale everything up so everything's bigger. Instead of there being more, it's just bigger.
Right.
The camera is a little bit bigger. Like I said, the battery life is a lot bigger. And for some people, two-handed use, which is really what it's for, is fine. They don't use their phone one-handed and they can get by. It's not for me. It's not for me. My understanding is that there are parts of the world, especially in Asia, where there are a lot of people who only have one computing device, and it's their phone.
Right. Yeah.
They don't have a tablet, they don't have a laptop, They just have their phone. And for them, they want that battery and they want that big screen. But it's not. The thing that shocked me is that I was kind of hoping it would be a mini, like a nano iPad. And it's not. It's a big phone. There are a couple iPad features.
Difference?
Well, it doesn't do a bunch of stuff that the iPad does. It doesn't have any of those kind of like the finger gestures or things like that. It's 16:9 instead of 4:3, which means you use it in landscape mode and it'll give you something that sort of looks like an iPad interface, except above the keyboard there's almost no space for anything. Whereas on the iPad it goes a lot. It's a lot wider in that dimension. So. I don't know. It's a big phone.
It's just a big phone.
If you want a big phone, it is, want it to be an iPhone, you can do that now. I think some people it's going to be their favorite iPhone ever, but I think it's going to be a niche thing and not for most people.
It is kind of funny. I mean, they went from the smallest phones in the market today to one of the biggest. I mean, that's a big jump from 4 inches to 5.5 inches.
I mean, they saw how the Samsung Galaxy Note sells, especially in Asia, and they wanted to be there. Yeah. And I mean, from Apple's perspective, I think Apple really believes that so the only part of the high-end phone market that they don't rule on are these phones in sizes where they don't have competitors. And so I think from their perspective, they're like, we're going to sweep in there and take those customers back from Samsung. So we'll see if that happens.
Jason, does the keyboard on the 6 Plus do the thing that the iPad keyboard does where you can split it into two sides?
That's another one of those features that just isn't. It's an iPad feature and it's not in there. They added some keys to the sides of the 6 Plus in landscape mode, but you can't do a split keyboard, which I think is a mistake because you got to really stretch your thumbs to if you're thumb typing on the 6 Plus. And it would be nice if it was
even
split.
on the 6, I wound up having to rearrange my icons so that all of the most used apps were at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
I did that with folders on the second screen. And I actually, although when I hold the 5 now, it seems small, when I'm working with this, I kind of miss the smaller size. I mean, I almost wish they made a 6 that was the standard 4-inch size. I think there still would be people buying that.
So I have a theory. I mean, this year they came out with these two new phones, the 6 and the 6 Plus. I'm not 100% convinced that the 5 and that size is just going to fade away into oblivion. There's nothing stopping Apple from updating that size in the future, maybe next year, with something they might call a 5, they might call a 6C. Who knows what they'll do? But I don't know if Apple's going to abandon that. They didn't update it this year, but I don't know if they're going to abandon the 4-inch size. If you think about it this way, yeah, it's not new, but they have 3 sizes in their iPhone line. They
still sell the 5S.
They still sell the 5S and the 5C. So those phones are still available. They just didn't do new versions of them this year.
Molly Wood in the New York Times said that the iPhone 6 is too small and the iPhone 6 Plus is too big. She wishes there was something in the middle.
What does she use it for?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think the 6 feels pretty good. It takes a little getting used to if you're used to like an iPhone 5, but I think because it's thinner and because the edges are rounded, including the screen, the actual glass on the top is rounded.
Wraps a little bit. Yeah.
It doesn't feel enormous. It feels different, but not enormous compared to the 5.
I actually think 4.7 is a sweet spot. I used a Moto X for a long time, and that was 4.7. And if it just ergonomically, I think that's just about the right. It's as big as you can get without feeling kind of big.
Right.
And, you know.
I don't think this thing feels that big.
Oh, but this feels
Dwight,
like a jewel. This feels like a little jewel box.
No, I don't think. No.
Dwight's absolutely right. I'm hearing from a lot of iPhone
5S
users.
or the 5 was more jewel.
A lot of iPhone users used to put their favoriteest apps in the dock and then their second favoriteest apps up at the very top. Yeah. And now the strategy I'm hearing from everyone is you want your favorite stuff down at the bottom because that's where your thumb is going to hit them, and put the less interesting stuff at the top. Of course, you can't place things arbitrarily on an iPhone home screen, so you got to load a bunch of junk up into the top in order to push your things down to the bottom. I know.
Well, you can play the chase around thing. You can kind of chase your icons around and get them where you want them, but it's a real pain.
Take things out of a folder.
4 million phones sold on Friday last in 24 hours in pre-order. The estimates I saw were 10 million phones on day one this Friday. 10 million phones. Is that unprecedented? That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a record breaker. Look at all these things shaking. See them shaking?
Yeah. You never use an iPhone?
I don't care about these phones.
I have to say, there are a lot of people feel the same way you do. I mean, when you're in the Apple news cycle, that's all you hear about.
Yeah.
That's all you
the season.
About.
It seems obsessive.
It's very obsessive.
It is obsessive.
Yeah.
It is the single most popular technology product.
Is it?
I think the iPhone.
I think it is.
I think it is.
Rightly so, or not rightly so?
Obsessively so.
Who am I to judge?
You've got to admire Apple's marketing ability. I mean, just
there are still today.
Well, they've always been
still lines at some.
I mean,
Apple
they treat
stores.
those bullcrap lines. There's no reason for that.
There's still lines at Apple stores.
There's
Saturday
still lines
there was
at
a
Apple
line.
stores.
Yeah.
There were yesterday.
There's no reason for that. That's just to get attention. I'm surprised the media keeps playing it up.
Well, those are real lines. They're real.
Yeah, they're real. No, there's no doubt about it. There are real lines, but it's not as though Apple couldn't have planned and had all these phones ready to go, shipped them overnight, and had everyone have their phone in the morning.
It's true.
They'd much rather have a line.
On Friday morning at midnight, I wouldn't have had to get in line at all. I could have just ordered it. Anyway, what about this? Bloomberg Business Week, Tim Cook cover. Andy Bio of Waxy Links says this is the ugliest cover he has ever seen. He thinks Business Week is slamming Tim Cook by using this. It's a free font you can download on the internet.
Cook's Apple.
Yeah. And it's done with
Comic Sans, too classy for this cover.
Yeah, it's
pretty lame.
That's pretty bad. Tim Cook's Apple. It's in this kind of schoolish script, and they've used a inner bezel or inner glow and a gradient from blue to yellow. Some said this was a slam at Tim Cook.
I say so.
A backhanded slam from Bloomberg Business Week.
I'm in on that.
It's a very positive cover story interview.
Somebody didn't like him. They put that cover up like that. Figuring no one's going to read it.
It's become a meme.
And look at this picture of him out in front with the V for Victory hippie sign. That's bullcrap.
People were saying after the Apple event that this is now Tim Cook's Apple, that the ghost of Steve Jobs has left the building, and that Tim... actually, it hasn't, because Tim hasn't touched Steve Jobs' office, apparently. It's still the same as it was.
Because there's a ghost in there.
Yeah. Nobody wants to
let it out. It's going to haunt everybody if they let it out of there.
I think it's without a doubt the iPhone 6 is and more importantly, perhaps, Apple Pay and the Watch are Tim Cook's first products, their first new product category.
Since he took over, Tim Cook has been the MC at these Apple events, and yet the September 9th event, he gave the bulk of the presentation about the Apple Watch, and then he handed it off to Kevin Lynch for a demo. But that's the first time he's ever done that with a product, and that's because that's his product. He wants to be the one to usher that into the world.
Is it his product or Johnny Ive's product?
Well, I mean, I would say it's the product that he was... look, is it anybody's product? It's a huge team's product. But I think that Tim Cook feels an attachment to this product in a way that he didn't to the other products that he was rolling out, because they were in the pipeline and they were continuations of products that Steve Jobs had worked on. And I think this one is much more personal to him.
Here is Andy Bio's take on Tim Cook's Apple. He rethought some other magazine covers using this crap font, and here's the famous National Geographic
crap font
picture with the hashtag war is hell.
So it was really an homage to the National Geographic.
I wonder maybe that Bloomberg thinks it's cool. That would be sick.
Boy,
Bloomberg did release an animated GIF of it as part of their press release when they announced it. So there you go.
Here's another one.
What did it do? What was the animation?
Oh, it just the words kind of fell in, and there were
Zombo.com.
multiple pieces of
Zombo.com. This is Johnny Ive Design.
nice.
Craig Grinnell did this one for Bloomberg
Beautiful.
Business Week. Here's one. Piketty Mania, Why America Has Wealth Inequality Fever, something like one of those teenage magazines. Karl Marx's new crush. Sorry, Dr. Doom. I like these. Some jabs at the design. So Tim Cook was actually giddy at the end of that event.
Well, he was only giddy because he got to touch Bono.
Let's do it. It's Bono, by the way.
Bono.
Oh, I thought it was Boner.
Sonny Bono is dead.
Oh, that hurts.
That was another meme, is of the two touching.
Yes.
Like that. But no, I think he was truly giddy.
No, he was giddy because of Bono. I'm telling you.
Really?
Oh, you could tell as soon as he introduced him, he was all shaky. He's like a fan.
actually
He's a
squeeing.
fanboy.
Yeah, he
And
was
In
actually.
all the photos after Beats where he was shown with all these musicians and so forth, he just has this glow on his face, like he just got backstage. You know.
Yeah.
He's. I think he is a music fanboy.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. What?
I don't think he's giddy about the products. He's been living with him for God knows how long.
But
You
no,
know,
he might be giddy because he's now officially. He's kind of.
He gets
You know,
to say,
this
one's
is
mine.
this happened
Yeah.
before with Apple, if you remember, when Scully took over. And what you have to remember when Scully took over is that even though everyone blames him for all sorts of things, he took the company 10x bigger than it was.
Yeah.
Went from $800 million a year to $8 billion a year. And then the board was irked about one quarter or something, and they basically rousted, I hate to use that word, they rousted Scully and put in a bunch of boneheads, and the company started going down. That's what's going to happen again. This guy will probably be able to carry the company for a while. He's going to irk someone. He's going to get rousted, and that's when you sell the company.
John Gruber, who doesn't have the greatest track record in the last couple of months, but did pick the iWatch for September launch, is now speculating that there will be 3 levels of iWatch prices. We know $349 is the starting point. He says that's the cheapest. Expect to pay $1,000 for the stainless steel model. Was it $4,000 or $5,000 for the gold model?
watch?
At least I think he said that. He said that, and then he also said he made a bet with somebody where the over under he took was $99.99.
$10,000?
It's possible.
It's solid gold. I mean,
If it's solid gold, it's not going to be
Rolex sells
cheap.
a solid gold watch for like $35,000.
Yes.
That's
The
Rolex.
Rolex president.
And that
Well,
watch,
right, so
by the way,
discounted
that
to
president you
$10,000.
can hand to your grandson. It'll work exactly the same.
Yeah, poorly.
That iWatch is obsolete in 1 year.
That is the biggest problem I have with the
Yeah, but
super
you
high
could-
price ones.
You can melt the gold down.
You could
Just take
Or,
the iWatch, drop it in the crucible, and just let it bloop down.
Maybe if you have so much money to spend on the Apple Watch Edition, maybe that comes. I mean, it comes with lots of things. It comes with a box,
Special box.
a leather box.
It's
with
a charging
with
box.
a lightning plug on the back that you can plug in and
Now
and
how
charge,
much would you pay?
And charge, and I think it comes with multiple bands. And so, who's to say it doesn't come with a replacement plan or a swap? They could swap
better
it
for
out
5 to 10
or something else,
grand.
because I think the obsolescence thing is actually the
That's a
biggest
significant
argument
issue.
about why you wouldn't want to pay $5,000
Well,
for
there's
a
little
watch.
bit. The band will slip off. So you buy the watch, the gold watch, and you can slip. The band is going to be the world of money.
Oh, so the band's worth $5,000.
Yeah, you pull that baby off, you get the
No,
newest
it's
version. You
18-karat rose gold.
Yeah, they say that their metallurgists have solved many problems involving gold, and I thought that was the most.
Yeah,
I talked to a guy who works with metallurgists afterward, and he was like, "Well, this is what happens in this industry." But I just thought that was the most Apple statement ever,
Yeah.
which is like, after thousands of years, we have fixed
We
gold.
fixed gold. We've solved the problems.
Wow.
We consulted actual horologists.
Yes, horologists and metallurgists are involved.
Unbelievable. It's almost starting to feel like a parody of itself.
I don't know, and yet when we were talking about this the last time I was up here, that there are these companies that will. A lot of the parts leaks come from these companies that are they replace the back plate with gold and
Right.
or wood or something like that.
Right.
And I do think Apple looks at that and says, well, why don't we eliminate the middleman? Why don't we just make a gold whatever? I mean, the next step, will they make a gold iPhone at some point and eliminate those guys too? I don't know. But they risk people really rejecting them as being some, just for the super rich if they do
I
that.
feel like a $5,000 watch would.
Nobody's going to buy it.
I can't
What?
imagine.
Are you kidding?
No,
Nobody's going to buy the
people will buy that.
$5,000 watch. They're all going to buy the
No, they're
$900
going to
watch.
sell a lot of those watches.
Just like people buy $5,000 watches now, they'll buy a $5,000 Apple Watch.
I think
Right.
they
They
But
won't
percentage
sell
wise,
as
it's
many
gonna
of
be a-
them as the
it's gonna be a lot of money.
$349 watch. but they will sell a lot of them.
Every CEO in Silicon Valley will probably buy one.
Right.
So that's true.
I got to tell you, it's a
they're
very
getting
different
to
Apple
match
with a very
their
different
Tesla.
Focus than I think.
Although on one level, it doesn't sound any different from the Apple that made the iPod Hi-Fi because they were mad that Bose was making all the money from
Right.
off the sound dock.
Right.
Or the reason that Apple sells cases now is because it used to be they sold other people's cases when
Right.
they sold an iPhone, and now they sell their own and they get to make that money too. And it's a little like that of like, look, we're going to make this awesome thing. Why would we not make a super expensive version and take all that money off
The
the
Apple
table?
store I went to had no third-party cases, lots of Apple cases. I then went to an AT&T store, lots of third-party cases. Went to a Verizon store. It wasn't that they couldn't get third-party cases. They chose not to sell them.
Sure.
And they have leather. I hear the leather's nice. I haven't seen it. They didn't have it at the store. Oh, is that the leather?
That's the leather.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. I got
it's
a
nice.
$20 Griffin Reveal case at Best Buy. Great case. It's the same one I put my iPhone 5 and iPhone 4 in. $20. Works great.
Yeah. How much is Apple charging for the leather? It's like $60.
It's like 49.
49, 50.
49, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, John? You're our leather expert.
I mean,
We
the
brought
Apple
in-
case is never going to be the best deal, but they'll sell a lot of them.
He solved the problems with leather. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
many
My
years.
metallurgist did it.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting angle.
John's been a
nobody thought of
horologist
that.
for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, I have been a horologist.
So let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk some. So I want to actually ask about the warranty canary. Not warranty canary.
Oh, yeah,
Warrant
that's
canary.
actually a good story.
Let's talk about that. All right. Coming up. But first, a word from our friends at Squarespace, the place to make your next website. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform. The best hosting, the best software to make the best website, and you don't even have to guess whether it's right for you. You could try it free for the next 2 weeks. No credit card needed. Just go to squarespace.com. Click the Get Started button. They're constantly improving their platform. New features, new designs, better support. The best support in the business. They never outsourced it. When you 24/7, when you need help, if you need help, you're going to get somebody from the Squarespace offices 24/7, plus a completely redesigned customer help site with self-help articles, video workshops. It is a great solution. And when it's time to buy, if you use the offer code TWIT, you'll get 10% off your new account. And that's a good deal because they start at just $8 a month, including a free domain name when you sign up for a year. They got gorgeous apps for the iPhone and the iPad. Gorgeous code backend. If you're a developer, of course, you can do all sorts of stuff. They have a very nice developer platform. As a special promotion for this week only, for our Twit audience, listen up. This is something new. Squarespace is giving away a full year of its top-of-the-line premium service valued at $288 to a randomly selected audience member. So if you're listening right now, all you have to do is tweet Better Websites for All with a hashtag Squarespace Twit, and you'll be in the drawing. Better Websites for All, hashtag Squarespace Twit. If you want to add more, you can. If you currently have a Squarespace site, in fact, I'd add your URL because we might show your site in our future ads. We use it for our Inside Twit. You cannot bring. You use it for No Agenda Show.
No Agenda uses it. You should have them try to bring down the site. You've done this every time.
We do that, and we've never brought the site down, but
Not yet.
We're going to keep trying. NoAgendaShow.com, NoAgendaShow.com, NoAgendaShow.com.
Go there. And,
If I say it 3 times, will Adam Curry pop up in front of me in a cloud of?
I was going to bring. He's in the city. I was going to bring him down.
should have.
And put him in the audience.
Oh my God, that would have been fun. Is he there now? Is that you, Adam?
He might be.
No. All right. Squarespace.com. Use the offer code TWIT to get 10% off, and don't forget to tweet Better Websites for All with the hashtag Squarespace Twit to be considered for a free year of premium level service. That you see there, those are the rules. Yeah.
I'm glad you put him on the screen so we can quickly scan him.
Yep, the rules are going to be, where are those rules, Chad? Podtrack.com/rules-twit.
Podtrack.com/rules-twit.
Okay.
Player.podtrack.com.
Oh, my God.
I believe that if you go to the Inside Twit blog,
You don't need to know the rules.
find a link there.
You don't need the rules. What do you need the
What's
rules
the worst
for?
that can happen?
If you break the rules, what's going to happen?
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing. I think it's limited to
Humans.
wherever it's
and,
legal. Humans in the United States, wherever
Well,
it's
there's
legal.
probably some state it's invalid.
Oh, I'm sure that is.
So I went over,
Only legal where valid
by law.
by law.
Yes.
Yes, sir. You were going
I
where?
went over to this Petaluma market. I go there once in a while. That is the grumpiest bunch of cashiers. Have you ever been there?
I go there every day, and we were just thinking about this. There's no turnover at that place. Those people have been there for years.
That's probably why they're so grumpy.
I'd be grumpy if I'd been here for years.
They don't smile. They just growl. Oh, that's horrible. And then even the zombie-like baggers. There's just a. Anyway, if you're coming in to check out this show, which a lot of people like to do, go over to the Petaluma Markets right across the street.
Meet the zombie
and
baggers.
Tell me I'm not right.
No, they're great people. I think it's you, John.
No, they're zombies. It's horrible.
So what is what is it called? A warrant canary? Is that what we call that?
No. What was it called? Was it?
The warrant canary.
Warrant canary.
Is it a warrant
Apple's Patriot Act detecting warrant canary is dead.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, something happened.
Something happened. They do a transparency report, as everybody does now.
It was
Facebook,
right
Google started
after Tim Cook was on Charlie Rose. Did you see the interview?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and he says, well, it'd be over our dead body before we cooperate with the government. Did you hear him?
That's interesting, yeah.
So they have to take us, this quote was, they have to take us out in a box.
I've been telling Tim, and thank God he listens to me, for years that the Apple's best market position is to say we're the privacy company. We don't have to make money on your information. We make money on our hardware.
That's what he says.
You can trust us.
And now
they've just now started to really pursue that as a marketing angle.
Yeah,
I think
then
it's a
the
good
canary
angle
disappears, so that tells you something.
The change in iOS 8 where they're not holding the keys anymore. So
perfect example.
Because if they were holding a copy of your keys, they could give those to the government unencrypted
Well,
things,
and there was a
now
long queue of law enforcement officials asking for decryption of iPhones. There's a whole process. You would send an iPhone to Apple. It was a several-month wait because it took a while to do it, but they would crack the iPhone and send you the contents. That Apple now is proud to say is no longer possible. We no longer can do that. We've made these secure, and I think that's smart of them. And by the way, it's very clear that the jab is at Facebook and Google. He says, told Charlie Rose, we don't have to sell your information. We don't sell advertising. Of course they do, but...
Right, there's even a little subset about iAd and how it's walled off from a lot of these things.
Right. I think it's fairly true.
I think this is a differentiator for Apple.
Yeah, it's a good marketing position. So one of the things Apple did in their transparency report last year is they put a line in that said, we have never received a Section 215 request. That's the secret request from authorized by the Patriot Act for information that comes with a gag order.
That's specific to Business Information 215.
It says we're going to ask you for information. You must give us that information, and you may not tell anyone.
That's only if it comes with a national security letter.
Right. It's an NSL.
Right.
Apple put in their transparency report covering January 1st through 30th of 2014, we've never received one. And we, at the time, said, that looks like a warranty canary. You don't say we've never received one unless you expect to receive one at some point, and what you'll do is you'll take that out because obviously you now cannot say it anymore. So, yep, it's happened. There is no warranty canary anymore in their transparency report. So apparently they have, I don't know what that means, big deal.
Well, it means something. It means that they've been, the government's on their case to get all your information.
They've received a request. Fascinating to see that Yahoo was threatened with a $250,000 fine for not cooperating with the government a couple of years ago. That's coming out now.
It's kind of an expensive fine.
$250,000 a day.
Yeah, it's high.
Over a refusal to give the data to the NSA, or should it refuse? I think one can assume that Yahoo did. The company released 1,500 documents from a failed suit against the NSA over user data requests and cooperation with PRISM compliance. In those documents, the information that they had been threatened with a $250,000 a day fine.
Of course, the threat is one thing.
So, Leo, do you think that if the feds came to Apple with a phone and said, here, we want this decrypted, and Apple said to the feds, we don't have the keys, we can't do it. Do you think the feds would just walk away and say, okay, you can't do it?
They'd want to make sure that they couldn't, but I think that that's the point, that Apple doesn't want to be put in that position anymore. So
right at that point, it's up to the NSA to break the encryption, which find a bug that reveals this information.
Well, you can bet
it takes Apple out of it,
or waltzes through the back door.
Right.
We actually have in our audience today a guy who works in counterterrorism for the FBI, and
No, I'm
His
just-
name is Adam Curry.
Yeah.
No, what?
I'm sorry, I was reading the chat room. I
Don't
I was
read the chat
highly
room.
amused by something someone said.
But, and when I meet somebody like that, I thanked him because I'm very grateful to the federal officials who are doing their best to keep groups like ISIS out of the United States.
Oh, my God, they'll be here any minute.
Those guys are scary.
Oh, please.
You don't think they're coming for us?
Oh, brother, what have you been reading the wrong papers?
Well, they threatened.
Are you just shaking in your boots because the ISIS people are going to be waltzing down the main street in
I don't want them cutting
Petaluma?
off my head.
They threatened
those head chops, by the
Twitter
way.
employees.
We're
They
not
threatened.
only fake, but we finally got to the Turkish sitcom, and that wasn't a sitcom, it was a drama, where the exact same scenario took place, and we think it's the exact same. The whole thing was from this Turkish
I didn't
broadcast.
watch it, so I don't know.
Of course you did.
Did it look real?
No.
Oh. Was it real? Where's our FBI guy? He's hiding.
Well, he's not going to say
I wouldn't
one way or the other.
admit it. All right. But I guess that's my point, is there's a tension between, on the one hand, we want our own privacy. We don't, as U.S. citizens, we don't want to be spied upon. But on the other hand, we damn well want to be protected. I know you don't believe we're at any risk.
I don't believe we're at any risk.
I didn't want to put those words in your mouth.
You did. I don't mind people writing for me.
Are we at risk? We're not. What do you mean? Is it theater?
Yeah.
Okay, just question. All right.
What are these guys? They haven't got an Air Force. They haven't got a Navy.
They don't need
got
an Air
a bunch
Force.
of
They've got
of
United
Toyota.
Airlines.
They got a bunch of Toyota trucks. So United Airlines is going to land over here in Petaluma. And, most people that have a clue, they would like to see these guys over here so they can kill them.
That's true. If we knew where they were. All right. I'm sorry I brought it up.
And you should be.
It's like this you keep inviting him back, so
know.
you're asking for it.
I know.
Because he knows how to work with me.
Yep.
We work well together. It's like a team. Leo's.
I was going to mention
scared.
Rick Perry, but I won't.
Rick.
How's he
Perry.
doing? How's that lawsuit doing, or prosecution?
How's
government
Texas
prosecution?
doing?
How's it?
Oh, that thing was a fake.
Well, what he's accused of doing is telling this prosecutor in Austin that if she didn't resign, he was going to veto the appropriation for the office that was investigating
Right.
some
I'll
of
just
his
defund.
friends.
I'll just defund
Right.
the office, and
so
then I don't have to worry about it.
The defense he's taking is that he has the right to veto because he's the governor.
Right.
The prosecutor says yes, but when combined with the threat, it becomes something else. And so that's there. It's all right now. It's all just posturing.
It feels like a lot of politics, frankly.
It is a lot of politics, but if he threatened somebody with a veto and his own friends, the appointees were being investigated by this group, there's probably enough smoke there for an indictment. At least that's what the prosecutor thinks, special prosecutor thinks. The other thing, but there was a reason I brought up Rick Perry is, Rick Perry has implied that ISIS is coming across the Texas border, and there's even a sheriff in West Texas who says that they found Muslim clothing and Korans in the desert.
Why would they be leaving the Korans behind? That's some sort of violation.
Yes, or their clothing. So the best tweet I saw about this.
So we
in
have a bunch of
response to
naked
it-
Muslims
That's
roaming
right,
around
looking
South
for reading
Texas.
material.
Koranless Muslims. I'm
That's
scared.
right, looking for reading material. That was
All right.
that
I just
was a
wanted to
great
give
tweet.
people a break from the iPhone. I don't know which
No,
is
somebody
worse.
in the chat room suggested we start
Thanks.
talking about the Niners
This
game.
is much less awkward this way. Yeah.
ISIS versus iPhone.
Moving along. Actually, interesting story coming out of a company that specializes in teardowns and understanding how the processors work in these things. Chipworks is their name. They've taken a look at the A8 processor in the new iPhones, and they say this is not a Samsung part. iPhones have had Samsung parts in them since day one.
Or Samsung was, they were.
Chipworks says the A8
founder
processor was fabbed at TSMC. It's kind of amazing. It has 2 billion transistors in it.
Well, yeah, this is a smaller process than the A7. It's a 20 nanometer.
20 nanometer process. And it's 89 square millimeters with 2 billion transistors. That actually, I was more interested in that than anything else. That just blows my mind. But obviously, Apple would like to have at least a second source for chips, if not get out of Samsung's pockets entirely. Samsung's a big company. The fact that they make cell phones to compete with iPhones in one division
and the chips
processor in another, that doesn't mean much.
It does.
Does it?
Don't you think? You don't want your vendor you're competing with making your chip.
Do you think they'll put a bug in it?
Gee, I never thought of that, but that's not a bad idea.
I think Apple hates being reliant on anybody.
And
other than
anyone,
itself,
especially
right?
a competitor.
So having
but Apple
other,
doesn't own fabs.
Right. They don't own. There are lots of different parts that they don't own, but I'm sure that they're also talking to Intel because Intel's now said that they're willing to make other chips for
ARM
other
chips.
people too.
They're willing to make ARM chips.
Well, they got those they got huge fabs.
Huge fabs, right? And
would
so,
Apple build? So a fab is the plant in which you.
Right.
build
Apple
these
doesn't
chips.
own the factories that make the chips. They design the chips, but they don't own the factories where they make them. They contract
and they're very
with somebody.
expensive to build. They're billion-dollar factories.
Right, and Apple is, this is why
$5 billion?
all those assembly plants in Asia, mostly in China, that Apple uses, those aren't owned by Apple either. Apple owns some factories, but others they just rent out essentially.
Obviously, Apple would like to own from beginning to end.
They want to control it. They want to control it.
I think they'd like to own it. I remember Henry Ford, the big plant he built in Dearborn. The boxcars would come in with wood.
Rouge.
The Rouge factory. The boxcars would come in with wood and iron ore, and out would come a Model T.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Very similar to Foxconn, by the way.
Yeah.
Iron ore would come in. They have their own smelter steel. Out the end comes. There's an iPhone comes out of it.
I think that's how Apple thinks.
It's funny. I mean, the Sapphire plant is apparently an Apple-owned deal, but not the processor
Were you surprised
fabs.
that there was no Sapphire on the face of this phone, or is there?
Now that we know, well, there is the Touch ID is Sapphire and
that's
the
always
camera
been,
on the
and
back.
the camera's always been Sapphire.
Not when we heard that the iWatch or Apple Watch, 2 of the 3 models are going to be Sapphire screens.
So what was everyone make such a big deal about the Sapphire? Why because you on your show everyone the Sapphire, it's going to be Sapphire.
Well, people are excited.
Just a new material.
It's new and everybody's tired of their phones cracking.
And stepped on it.
And then they didn't use it.
And they didn't use it.
Yeah.
And then you had a piece
It's
and
not
you
practical.
busted it and cut yourself.
Well, apparently wasn't Sapphire. So Apple's using Gorilla Glass, you think, still?
That's what it sounds like when you
It
tap
sounds
on
like
it.
if it's
It
not
has a
Gorilla
sound.
Glass, it's like Gorilla
It's
Glass.
got a
and
certain
I'm not sure
thunk
Corning
when
has
you
said whether
tap
this
on
is
it.
Gorilla
They
Glass.
never
or
did.
not.
In fact, it was. I didn't know this until I read the Walter Isaacson biography, but Corning had shut down the Gorilla Glass factories. There was no market for it. Steve Jobs came to them and said, I've got this thing I'm making, and I would really like some very hard glass for it. So it was really Apple that made Gorilla Glass happen. And what we're a third version, which I think is a pretty strong glass. What do they call this? Ion exchange?
Ion exchange, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It must be good.
It's not unbreakable, but it's way less scratchable and breakable than.
But it's not
original.
Gorilla Glass? Is it, or is it not Gorilla Glass?
We don't know because Apple
It
doesn't
sounds
say.
like it when you tap on it.
What does that
It has
sound?
that plasticky sound.
Yeah.
Gorilla Glass sounds like plastic when
Well,
you
you're
tap
right. It
on
doesn't sound like glass.
So did y'all see the
actually a
that
slightly
video
soft
of
glass.
the drop test of both of these phones?
You mean the kid in
That
Sydney, Australia, got the first
Yes.
iPhone, was so
No,
excited.
not the
He
first
broke
one,
it.
but there was a drop test.
That's an Australian for you.
He dropped it. I don't think it broke.
No,
Did it
this
crack or not?
this is a different
I don't
thing.
No.
There's a blog that goes out and gets some of the first iPhones in Australia, and they always drop them as a drop test.
I hate that.
And well, except when they dropped it, yes, it broke, but it was the way it broke that was interesting. The glass part separated from the case. It cracked, but it looked almost like something popped up from within, like the way a battery when a battery expands.
Like it
It
delaminated
separated
or
from
something? Or?
So it broke differently than past iPhones, which I found, and that's why I immediately
Is that their new motto? Break differently?
Yeah.
Break differently. That's a good one.
But if you haven't seen that, look for that video. It's
I like
really
the
interesting
old-
the way it breaks.
You know, I know people with the broken glass 4s and 5s.
Oh, God. Everybody who's had an iPhone has a broken one.
And so you can get them replaced. I tell people this tip. This is a tip for everybody who has one of these old phones. If it's broken and you want to get it, you can take it in.
Just lick it, right?
You can try. If you want to bleed, you can take it in to get it replaced, and they'll tell you no. They usually won't tell you. But if you go in with Band-Aids on, as though you've been cutting yourself on the glass, they immediately see it as a liability issue, and they give you a brand new phone on the spot.
Oh.
I know 2 guys who've done this.
Okay, kids.
So Band-Aids, and if you want to really get cool at it, put some. You like have blood, on
Also,
you.
Or your tongue.
also a limp. Have a limp, and like a sling for your arm, and just go all the way.
My iPhone killed me. Let's see. iOS. Apple confirms that the NFC chip in this does nothing, so that's nice. Well, it's it only will
hear
work
this
for Apple
story?
Pay.
Oh.
And Apple
For
Pay is
now.
not available
For now.
till October. Well, for now, but so you've got an NFC
So you're
chip.
all in on Apple Pay, I bet you.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, no.
Oh.
I like the look. Okay, I love the idea of not carrying a wallet. Just like the Queen of England, I want to be like the Queen. But I don't think that just because Apple does it, it's going to suddenly emerge into the world fully formed. We've been trying to do this for years.
I think that's the wrong order, though. I think one of the reasons Apple's doing it now is because it thinks that this is a good time because they're also replacing normal swipes with chip and pin in the U.S.
That's true.
And so
by the
a
end
lot
of next year, everything has to be chip and pin.
And so this stuff is all going to turn over, and it's going to have NFC built into it, and it's going to have this built into it. And
Your
Apple,
timing is right because they have to buy new terminals.
right, and
for
they've
chip
got
and
enough
pin.
clout too that as a very large phone maker that can control the hardware. But I think it's timing more than it's like Apple's making
makes
it
sense.
happen. Apple's helping it happen maybe, but it's also good timing.
So if I'm a merchant, I know I'm going to have to get a new terminal for chip and pin by the end of this next coming year.
And it'll have an NFC
And
scanner in it.
I'm for sure going to make sure that it supports every form of tap and pay I can get, which means Google Wallet, Apple Pay, whatever else there is. Walmart and CVS have already said we're going to buy new terminals, but it isn't going to have Apple Pay in it. That's not good, but I'm not. I think that's because they've already done a deal with somebody else.
Probably so.
But they're early on it. I think there are plenty of merchants.
These other guys have
It's
had
not till
this
the end of 2015.
years and years. NFC's been on these other
No,
phones.
but you see what the Jason's saying is because chip and pin is coming.
No,
Everybody has to
I'm
buy new
agreeing with this
terminals.
basic thesis.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But this is not early.
And
to
Google
me.
had a hard time because Google doesn't control their hardware partners, and not
Right.
every, not all the
everybody did it.
phones had the NFC. And I think, Apple will push it along a little bit, and everybody who's got one of those NFC Android phones will benefit too.
So prediction, by the end of 2015, will we all be tapping and paying, whether it's with our Apple Watch, Apple phone, or Google phone?
No.
I think it's going to be more of a convenience because there are going to be places that don't take it, right? I mean, it's just like now there are places that only take cash, and maybe now they're starting to have Square.
So you still have to carry your wallet.
I think at
But-
some point it developed the bump and steal.
But if I'm going
Where
to
you got the phone on, somebody bumps you, and they boom. Next thing you know, you've got
but
a
you
payment.
can't do that because
Yeah,
you got to do the
supposedly.
Touch ID and stuff.
And that's going to be cracked.
But when I run to Whole Foods to buy some beer and peanut butter or whatever, I might just take my phone for that because I know I can
will
pay.
do it.
Because I know I can pay
They
there.
already said they're going to do it.
And if I forget my wallet and I have my phone, I'll actually be able to buy something, which is nice. Other
Right.
than like scanning my card at Starbucks or something.
Well, and I have to say already, and it's purely psychological. I'm sure, John, you're right that it's probably not super secure. But already just the notion that I can touch my finger to this, and my bank, for instance, is using it to unlock the banking app, makes me feel better. LastPass is using it. Makes me feel better.
Yeah.
I feel like that's better than a PIN.
yeah.
Harder to, right? It's harder to
Yeah, well, and
reproduce.
what you can do is then make your password something more complicated because you have to enter it a lot less frequently.
Right.
So, like, I used to have a 4-digit code on my phone,
Precisely.
and now I have a complex password because I only enter it when I reboot.
Right.
And otherwise, I just use my thumb.
Yeah. So this is a good thing, I think.
Well, we'll see, won't we?
All right, enough Apple talk. We're going to take a break, come back, and talk about Kindle. There's a new one.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm
I heard
excited.
that.
I'm excited,
I
too.
haven't gotten it.
I ordered immediately. Well, I think it comes out in
month.
about a month. Yeah.
What's okay? You're going to tell us why it's special then?
Yes. And a new kids edition that has a unique warranty. But first, a word. What I'm doing again, I'm teasing.
Yeah, as if you were,
As
as
if
if people can't just fast
You
forward.
couldn't just skip this ad and go right to the most interesting thing.
It might be better to slipstream the ads a little smoother.
This is why you need to watch live
Or
because you can't
Yeah,
skip.
but it's only the X number of people.
maybe
whatever.
if I teased really boring stuff.
No.
Because
What
then
you
people
wanna
say,
do-
well, I don't want to get there, so I'll listen to the ad.
Oh, good idea.
No, you
Like,
should grab
coming
the-
up, we'll show you how to make chopped liver and onions with your iPhone. That's next.
No, you should
first-
go, no. What is this ad? You should just go.
liver.
And here's an interesting story. Citrix go to meeting.
No, that's I don't want to fool people.
That's called native advertising.
native,
Get extra
baby.
money.
Do you?
I think so. Yeah.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
Hey, did you hear this about GoToMeeting? It's the proven solution
It
for
is?
meeting and
Really?
collaborating with your team online from anywhere.
Where really?
Yeah.
What? Tell me
You know
more.
how I've
Tell me
always
more,
felt,
Leo.
You know what I've always felt? Good communication is crucial in business. Don't you feel that?
I've always thought that.
Especially
Uh-huh.
when the people you work with aren't in the same office. Then,
Yeah,
you
what
know,
do you do when they're not in the same office? I don't get it.
Miscommunication can happen.
Oh, yeah, it can.
And there could be misunderstandings. In fact, I find when people are in different offices, sometimes they hate each other because they don't understand each other. That's where GoToMeeting is bridging the gap. Bringing people together. Oh, I'm going off
It's all
script.
yours now.
I dropped the script. Bringing people together. You're going to let me take this, huh? Actually, millions of people rely on Citrix GoToMeeting. It's probably the #1 way to meet online. It is great. Not only, they've always had screen sharing, so you're literally on the same page when you're reviewing documents or presentations, but they now have HD video conferencing, so it is a full video conference. I feel so sorry for the people, and I know lots of them, who spent $50,000, $100,000 on big conference rooms with video conferencing.
Yeah, no, I've seen.
Those
I know
big
that.
commercial Cisco systems, and they're not even as good as GoToMeeting. It's like, God, I feel bad. I feel bad for them.
It's expensive.
It's really expensive. GoToMeeting is so affordable. You pay once a month. I think it's $49 for as many meetings as you want, as often as you want. You present, you demonstrate, you meet. It's so inexpensive. They don't time you. So I know plenty of remote offices that just keep it running all the time, and they're like working together. It's really great. You'll see why millions choose GoToMeeting when you start hosting your own face-to-face meetings online today for free for 30 days. Visit GoToMeeting.com. Click the Try It Free button there, and we ask that you use the offer code TWIT, T-W-I-T. GoToMeeting.com, Try It Free button. The promo code is TWIT, and we thank Citrix for their support of This Week in Tech. Amazon has announced... By the way, we should point out that Amazon dropped the price on the Fire Phone to basically 99 cents, plus you get a year of Prime, and they still can't sell it. No, and I have one in the drawer. And if you want a Fire Phone?
Yeah, I'll take it.
All right, I'll give it to you. 99 cents.
No, I got
no.
$1.
You know what?
Keep the penny.
I'll give you $1 to take it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're making it better every minute.
Yeah.
I'll take it, but you got to pay me $2.
It's so sad because all Amazon to do is just make it a regular Android phone.
Yeah.
It's kind of regular, isn't it?
No.
Is it very similar to an Android?
No.
It's like they've gone off the deep end?
It's got the weird...
It's like the Kindle thing?
3D
yeah,
interface.
it is. It's the same OS.
Huh.
And there's no
OS.
Google Store. There's their Amazon store, and it's a...
Huh.
So, Leo, I'm going to be a contrarian here. I like the Fire Phone.
Really?
Yes, I like the Fire Phone.
Let me go get mine. You tell us why.
I have a
I'm gonna
Fire
go get it.
TV, and
I have the Fire TV. I never hooked it up.
And the Fire TV is
Keep talking
excellent.
while he goes and gets it.
Amazon is doing something different. They're building from scratch what amounts to an ecosystem similar to what Android and Apple have. And if you are an Amazon customer and use their products a lot, it's a great way to have a phone. It's a great way to watch their streaming video. And actually, on the Fire TV, if you've never hooked it up, you should, because the picture on it is excellent.
It comes off the Fire TV comes off the phone?
No, well, you can do that. You can stream from the Fire.
You can stream
phone
from
to
the phone.
TV.
Okay.
Yes, but it also the Fire TV connects to Amazon Prime. It also has a Netflix app. But the picture on it is, when your connection is good, is better, I think, than the picture on the Apple TV, and certainly on what I've seen on even the highest end Roku. It's a really good streaming box. And Amazon, this is version 1.0 for Amazon, and I would not discount them at all, because as we've seen with the release of these new Kindles, they keep coming back and coming back.
What Roku
right.
box are you using?
The 3.
Huh? And you think
The
this
latest one?
there's a better image?
Yes, it has a much better
And
picture.
it has the same bit rate? Have you checked? Have you watched the bit rate because you can turn on that little feature. It shows you all the.
You can't in the Fire TV, but you can in the Roku. It just looks better to me.
Huh.
It looks much more. What
do they sell for? Because I've never thought of
$99.
Now,
And
do
for a
they
while
have the
were
same?
selling them
Do they have the same fundamental linkage
Interface?
like to Netflix and all the rest?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
Huh. I don't know how that
So,
missed this
and-
boy.
and-
Now, I did hear that Firefly is going to be available in the Kindle, in the Amazon app going forward. So that's the Fire Phone. It's not actually, I
That
don't know
looks
if it's
nice.
power on.
And it's about
Yeah.
the same size. It's a 4.7-inch screen, so it's the same size as the iPhone.
The software is kind of weird.
If it
But
had been
people have-
Android, I would say all of that.
Now, what is
true.
this you've got? What is this other thing?
Well, okay, so this
You
is
got
my
some sort-
simulation of what they're doing a Kindle for kids.
Oh,
so-
I thought that was the next generation iPhone.
Yeah.
It's
People
a
who
little
keep
big, but
wanting
you
big-
can use it as a purse.
Bigger screens.
That's why they want Apple Pay, so you just use it as your purse.
So I was writing about these new Kindles, and somebody pointed out to me that they actually changed the branding, and only the e-reader is now called Kindle. All the rest of them are just called Fire.
Oh, there's no Kindle
tablet,
Fire. It's just
It's
Fire.
Fire HD, yeah.
Ah, interesting. So this is the new rubber encased Fire. Now, what I love about this is there's two. First of all, it's $149, 6 or 7 inch Amazon tablet, free unlimited all you can eat kids content, and a 2-year guarantee that means is this right? They'll replace it even if the kid breaks it.
I believe so.
That's a pretty big selling point for any parent whose kids now it is encased in rubber like this.
Ruggedized.
Screen. I can see a kid breaking
It's like what
it.
they use for like people up on the top of telephone poles. It's like it needs to be that
Yeah.
rugged.
But still, there's always a glass front that could be broken with a determined child.
Yeah, that's what kids are for.
So, that got my attention. I thought, I don't have, my kids are 20 and 19. I don't expect them to
trust them.
want this. But,
yeah, probably not.
I feel like this is something, if you had a 2-year-old, you'd be very excited about, right? 2 parents and 4 kids. There's a family library feature that means 2 parents and 4 kids can share movies, books. This is kind of what Apple's done with their family sharing.
But they've got all their content deals, and I mean it's smart. This is one of the things I like about Amazon and these products is they're defiantly Amazon products, right? They're not Android devices, even though Android is powering them, and they're using their ecosystem and their library of content that they've got to power this stuff, and it's a really interesting idea.
And for 2 years.
And then there's a $99 tablet too. So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that doesn't look like a cheap tablet. It's actually a decent.
I'm impressed. I'm actually very impressed. I was going to give this to John and see if he could break it.
I can break it.
No, maybe not then. Never mind. And they announced new readers, which are Kindles.
Yeah, that's the new reader is a Kindle.
I bought it immediately.
I did too.
One is very expensive, right?
It's
One is
$200.
It's $200.
It's reasonable.
The Voyage.
The Voyage.
I think Amazon realized that there are people who love these e-ink readers, and I'm one of them. I saw a tweet that said, "Oh, new Kindle," and I was like, "All right, order," just because I love them for reading books. And this one is 300 DPI screen, so it's
300 DPI. Now we're talking. This is what the laser.
Our buddy
writer.
Andy Anatko went to the launch event in New York, and he said he did a double take because it's one thing to see a backlit screen that's at this retina quality where you can't see the pixels, but to see a reflective screen like an e-ink screen at 300 DPI, he said his brain kind of couldn't wrap itself around what he was seeing. It's
essentially the same as a paper.
It looks
book.
like you're looking at paper, except then you tap it, and now it doesn't have a button. It's got a pressure-sensitive haptic. It's a button that doesn't move, is what it is.
Okay.
But it's so you can turn the page just by pressing the sides. Which
How's that different than the Kindle Paperwhite? It's the same thing.
Paperwhite, you got to tap the screen, which is the thing I like
don't
the
like
least
that.
about the Paperwhite.
Well, what are you saying?
Now
You touch the bezel. You
Oh,
push,
the bezel.
You push on the bezel.
It's not white and black though. I mean, it's not black text on white.
It's dark gray text on a off-white background, although they keep improving that over
It's
time.
still a very higher contrast than before.
Yeah.
Now,
and 300
$199 means you're with special offers. So
Right.
you're going to get ads. If you want it without special offers, add $20. And if you want free 3G, the Whisper Sync over 3G, which I think is great. You're at an airport or you're driving around and you want to get a book, you can do that. That's another $50. But yeah, and I think this is a pretty compelling product.
Whenever I go
even though it is
someplace-
the highest, most expensive e-ink Amazon Kindle in a long time.
There's an audience for it. And they're still selling the cheaper e-ink Kindles. In fact, there's one below the Paperwhite now. It doesn't light itself, but it's sort of based on the Paperwhite.
$79.
And it's got a touch screen.
Yep.
But I go to I went to on a beach vacation with my wife this summer, and everybody had these e-ink Kindles. That's where I see it is
perfect on the
outside.
beach. That's where you want it.
Outside where it's sunny.
You can't read an iPad outside.
Yeah, backlit glass displays are not great in the sun.
No, I'm in total agreement. I love the Kindle. I think it's a fantastic product. I use the Paperwhite. I don't know if I should upgrade to this if it's going to be that much better.
Are you excited about the Fire Phone? Do you think that's going to be something you're going to want to use?
I might use it.
Yeah.
It's kind of locked. It's locked, though.
Well, locked to AT&T.
yeah.
AT&T,
It's
yeah.
AT&T exclusive.
That's one of the other problems with it is it's only available.
I think that's
from
why it's
one
not
carrier.
selling.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people use AT&T. They're the second biggest carrier, maybe the biggest now.
I don't know, I
Does
think
it have a CDMA radio in it? I doubt it.
No.
I think Amazon's
GSM.
idea of why people are loyal to Amazon maybe is a little misguided, and that something like their phone is just not. People just don't think of Amazon as the provider for that. I love Amazon, and I've got lots of their products,
It's
but I would
Prime.
never use an Amazon phone.
I
It's
am
just
loyal to
weird.
Amazon because of Prime.
Yeah, right.
Pure and simple. I can get it in 2 days.
And they've got the video streaming and stuff, which is nice.
It's okay.
But that's not the reason.
It's not why I bought Prime.
Yeah.
I bought Prime for second-day delivery.
Yep.
Free
second-day delivery. I mean, that's compelling. And
Free with your purchase of Prime.
They lose money on it. They lose
$100.
money on Prime for a big user like
great
yourself.
story. I think I mentioned this before in Dogfight, the book about Amazon and Google and the battle. I was talking about. Oh no, I'm sorry. I guess it was in the Everything store. It was in the story of Jeff Bezos and Amazon. They priced Prime just randomly, basically. People came to Bezos and said, "We don't know how much it's going to cost because you can't tell how much people are going to use it."
He's got a sense of these things, so
and he said, "We're going to make it $75." He just by fiat.
"Yeah, that would be right."
And it turned out to be about right.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what.
sure
That's
they
why
lose money, but they get a lot of sales. So
right. No, I think that's the way a good entrepreneur does. He doesn't study it to death. They would have never rolled it out.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But I do notice they're raising it to $99. Still, I think that's
pushing it.
It's an elastic price point. If we get so much value out of it, I'm willing to pay it.
There are so many people they lose.
I am getting a free year because I bought that Fire phone, so that was a good deal. You don't get that. Just the phone. I'm keeping the Prime.
Well, that's a gyp.
You got something against gypsies?
Oh, now here we go.
Here we go.
That's a good.
Amazon is the number one search advertiser on Google.
That
They
makes
spent
sense.
$158 million
sense.
in search ads in 2013. I guess there's nothing to say about that.
Yep.
Makes sense. Yep. Are you surprised,
Yep.
Leo? Yep. They have added a new top-level domain name. You know that this was kind of crazy. ICANN decided that if you had enough money, you could make up a domain name.
Yeah.
And it'd be yours.
It's $250,000, I think.
Amazon paid $4.6 million for .buy.
Huh.
And .tech,
They got nothing but money to throw away.
$4.6 million for the .buy top-level domain. There was an auction. That's why there's a certain fee.
I think you should buy .twit.
I don't have 4.6. Well, I don't know how much it would go
I
for.
think it's $250,000. I don't know. That was maybe, but I think that was bidded up.
No, yeah, it was bid up. In fact, the one that sold for the most was bought by a company called .tech LLC. They got .tech for $6.76 million.
This was a great idea to make money.
Who's making this money?
The Icon folks, I guess.
What does ICANN do? Are they having big parties? They buy a
Yeah, that's
yacht?
what I'd be doing.
.tech beat out Google, Uniregistry, New.com, Donuts, and Minds Plus Machines for this.
Did they say we'll sell somebody the .yacht domain if they'll buy us a yacht? Was there like a deal in place?
Yacht. I like it. So Minds and Machines, having been outbid for .tech, bid $3 million and got .vip.
Wow.
Jeez.
I guess they're a registry, and they figure, well, we'll probably make it back by charging people $25 or $50 a year to have, Leo.vip.
Who
Wait
needs
a minute.
it?
That sounds like a good domain name.
Yeah, Leo.vip.
Somebody in the chat room the other day said, hey, I bought Leo.ninja for you.
Great.
Thank you.
That reminds me to buy Leo.plumbing.
Oh, Leo.ninja is mine, all mine.
I did buy Snell.zone the other week.
Did you?
Because,
Snell.zone.
What did that cost you?
Oh, a good $15.
Hover has a ton of them.
Oh yeah, I have a hover problem.
You have a hover problem?
I do.
We need a 12-step for hover addicts. I wish they'd bought an ad this week. I could do the ad right now.
Yeah.
Let me log on to my hover, and I'll show you. Let's see what I have here.
You should wait for them to sponsor before you tell us.
Somebody in the chat room says some poor ninja actually named Leo.
I
was
know.
out
I was
in
going
the
to say,
cold.
God damn it.
Squatters.
Squatters.
They're
I
the
hate these squatters. I got verified.zone because I was thinking, and verified.rocks and verified.social. I was thinking of doing a new social network where you have to be verified. I think I told you about that.
Yeah. Verified.rocks. Or is that for a site where rocks are verified?
And they're, I
rock,
guarantee this rock.
That is a rock.
I guess I didn't get any other. God, I have so many. Oh, twit.agency, twit.careers, twit.company. I own these.
Twit.equipment.
Twit.equipment. If I
Why?
wanted. Well,
If the camera needs a website.
If we had to sell off Twit, I could say go to twit.equipment for the big
For the
equipment sale.
pieces, yeah.
Wow.
Twit.expert.
That is thinking ahead.
Here's a table.
How about
And
twit.watch?
We had to go out of
Old
business because I
camera.
bought too many domains.
And then said to sell them off. But
We're
luckily
selling them off!
you were thinking ahead.
I've got a hover problem. You named it. That's
Yeah.
exactly what's wrong.
Yeah.
12-step.
Let's take a break while I register.
You
a
just
few
take
more
a break while
names.
the 49ers lose this game.
Oh, I'm just depressed. They're about to lose it.
They were ahead 14-0
I know.
or 14-6, and next thing you know, they lose the game. They can't.
really
They
timely for
cannot
those
score in the
podcasting
second
people.
half. They're like a first-half team now.
Well, that's that.
Well, I guess I'm going home to cold hot dogs and a
Didn't you go to the game, the
empty
big
bed
opening
tonight.
game, the big game?
Yeah,
I wanted to
it's
talk to you
depressing.
about that when you get back from this commercial.
I'll tell you what, let's do right now. Well, this was such a good week on Twit. I wanted you to just see some of the great moments.
How
you
do,
might
what,
have
what
missed.
is you, what?
What? We call it a how sad. Take a
I
look.
like to see one of those.
Brain Cam 3000, the future video podcast. Brain Cam 3000. I don't care anymore.
Previously on Twit. Tech News Tonight.
Microsoft bought Minecraft for $2.5 billion.
It's about gaining access to this massive community of gamers and walk with them toward some of their other products.
Mac Break Weekly.
This U2 thing seems to me to be a fiasco. Does it qualify as a fiasco? Does this qualify as someone should get fired from this? I think it's embarrassing that Apple had to publish a page that says, oh, here's how you get rid of that.
Triangulation.
Our guest is Lawrence Krauss, physicist, author.
I'm quite proud of the fact that the research I do has no practical use whatsoever.
Any more than a great symphony does, or a beautiful painting.
Tech News Today.
iPhone 6 Plus. Pocket.
You got to love this, Jason, because it's like all these attributes of the iPhones that have been around in the Android world for ages.
Welcome to the world of large format phones. They're actually pretty useful. Don't feel guilty about it. It's okay.
Twit. Now, where'd I put my iPhone?
Doing a review? Then check.
No. Oh!
That was not the first drop test, but it was the fastest unboxing.
So he didn't crack it?
No,
I thought he cracked it. Oh, that's good.
it survived.
This thing looks very crackable.
Hey, does it sound plastic when you tap it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's Gorilla Glass.
They've all
Everybody's
that
got
Gorilla
it. There's
Glass,
nothing special
yeah.
about Gorilla Glass. We got the week ahead. Mr. Mike Elgin, our news director. He's going to be covering some big stories. Mike?
Coming up this week, BlackBerry's announcing new products on Wednesday, September 24th at events in Toronto, London, and Dubai. We're expecting the company to unveil the BlackBerry Passport, which is a wide, boxy phablet with a physical keyboard. Back to you, Leo.
I'm really. So many people have said, Leo, aren't you excited about the BlackBerry Passport? It's square, right? Or square-ish.
Jokers. They're people that are just making fun of you.
No, you
like
think
an
they're pulling my chain?
Yes.
It looks like an onion thing. It doesn't look real.
Yeah, it's an onion.
It looks
thing.
like a parody.
I want, I
what
don't.
I think so, too.
I wish no ill to BlackBerry. I had a BlackBerry pager in the earliest days. I loved my BlackBerry. In fact, right up till the iPhone came out, I was a BlackBerry user. But I look at this and I think, boy, is it like Pop-Tart sized?
It looks like you hurt yourself on those corners.
I will get email from people who will say, how could you be dissing the BlackBerry?
You're going to get email people saying
Bless
something
their
no matter
hearts.
what you do.
You've learned this in your long and august career.
Oh, yeah. No, people hate you.
You did. How do you deal with that? Because you've always been a lightning rod up.
I try to be, yeah.
Yeah. And you're doing this, this is part of your...
Try to be annoying.
Yeah. Not annoying, but
No,
provocative.
Yeah, kind of
provocative.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's a fair...
Yeah, maybe. I try to bring up things that people ignore.
But you must get hate mail. You must have been getting hate mail for the last 20 years.
I don't get as much as I used to.
You want to give out the email address in case...
John at Dvorak.org. I don't have a problem.
Prime the pump.
I get no spam, so, and
Right.
I can block... And I also block people. I have a system where... It's Mark Perkel's email system.
You're still using that?
CTYME.com. And I think he's a good email provider.
And
he does a good
all the
job.
mail goes through there, and his spam filter has been very effective for
Very good, yeah. And look.
Yeah. And there's the John C. Dvorak I Get No Spam logo. That comes from probably a 2006 episode of Twit.
Before that, I think.
Even
I
earlier?
think when
2005, maybe.
did you start?
2005.
Yeah, it
April
was
2000.
definitely in 2005.
I get no spam.
But, so I don't care. I put my email address here and there. It doesn't make any difference.
No, I don't. By this time, if they don't have your email address.
Well, I get the biggest kick out of people that can't find my email address. It's like, just
to this
use
day,
Google.
I get people who tweet me who say, Whatever happened to you, Leo? Do you do anything anymore?
Yeah, this is always amusing.
I was a
to me.
fan of the screensavers, and I just lost track of you. Are you around anywhere? Are you working, or are you?
You doing anything?
You doing anything?
I really liked it back in the day when you were doing something. Now you're not doing anything.
You doing anything? There is a little concern in the Android world, a cross website flaw, browser flaw. It's not in the Chrome browser that currently comes with Android distributions, but so many Android users, about half, still use pretty old versions of Android that they're vulnerable to this. You have to be using the original Android browser that used to come with Android phones. They call it the AOSP, Android Open Source Platform Browser. And it allows malicious sites to inject JavaScript into other sites, which means that they could read cookies, password fields, submit forms, grab keyboard input. It's a very
what
bad
version of Android
bug.
are we talking about here?
If it wasn't, it was changed in 4.2. So anything that's pretty recent.
That's
anything
very
prior
recent.
to 4.2.
I don't even think my phone's.
Now you can fix it very simply by just not using the AOSP browser and starting to use Chrome. However, I think there are still parts of the browser embedded into web views in other applications. So you'll have to be careful about what applications you use.
Can you delete that browser in the older version?
You
of
can't.
Android?
Well, you need the functionality. So it's just like Internet Explorer and Windows. You know, it's used to render web pages and email and other programs. So I don't think you can just kill it.
Never heard this.
Android browser is actually around half of all Android users are still in pre-4.2.
Yeah, well, if I'm on 4.3, which is that's
a Nexus 5.
It's a Nexus 5.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually not. It's an older one.
A 4.
No.
3?
No.
Is it a Nexus 2?
It's the Galaxy.
It's the Galaxy Nexus. Oh, that's pretty old.
This is very old. It's 4.3. It has look at. There's not a scratch on it. I keep my keys in the same pocket. This phone is built to last. This was the last great Nexus phone.
I love the Nexus 1, which was its predecessor.
The
I
Nexus
agree with you.
1. Well, you mean the
It had a little trackball.
The original one.
Yeah, the original Nexus was
that
great.
really old,
It was a
crummy
great
one?
phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
That was a great phone.
No, it was one of the most elegant, beautiful phones ever made.
It was a clunker.
All right. Okay, fine.
Now
you
look,
have
look,
your
but
Nexus.
look, check this out. Look at these two phones side by side.
They're
come on.
They're the same.
See,
He's
basically-
showing you that this is the Galaxy Nexus. That's the Fire phone. All phones are basically black slabs.
Yeah, what difference does it make?
Yeah. It's
Why
a
are
black
people buying
slab.
new phones?
Why buy an... Oh, because this black slab has more black.
Yeah. How much blacker could it be? And
That's
the answer
space
is none
gray.
more black.
It's better black. So
This is
anyway,
the-
now you have a Fire phone too. You live it up. I don't. Users of Android 4.0 and up can switch to Chrome, Firefox, or Opera. You want to be careful about other third-party browsers because they may be using that AOSP code. Google has offered the following statement to Peter Bright at Ars Technica. We have reviewed this report, and Android users running Chrome as their browser or those who are on Android 4.4 Plus are not affected. For earlier versions of Android, we've released patches. So you'll want to make sure you've got those patches. It's a serious flaw.
I'd say.
Speaking of Android, the new Moto X is pre-orders began last week. I'm getting my leather-bound Moto X on Friday. I'm very excited.
You gonna stand in line? Oh wait, there's no place to stand in line. Never mind.
There's no place. There's no store. Isn't that amazing?
It doesn't surprise me.
I'm getting an unlocked version.
No, that's a good thing.
Yep. Actually, I found, and you can tell me this. When we were in line at the Apple store, they said we have no unlocked phones. I said, what about the T-Mobile phone? And the Apple guys, and I talked to several of them, said, no, that's locked to T-Mobile. It's not, right?
No, it's not.
They were
lying to you.
Right, but it may be a variation that doesn't have all the frequencies, so it might
Okay.
not be able to do.
So there are different SKUs of the iPhone 6.
I think that was true of the 5. I'm not sure whether it's
Yeah.
true of the 6 or not, but it may be that
It looks that way in the back of the
T-Mobile
box.
iPhone might not work,
Right.
or might not work at speed on a
other
different
networks.
LTE network.
Right. The other thing I found I'm very excited about, so this is a Verizon iPhone 6, and once again, the SIM slot is
That's
unlocked.
CDMA though.
No.
No, because
Verizon GSM?
LTE requires a SIM.
So I can put, and I
But the
tried
phone, but the phone itself is CDMA. If it's Verizon, their network
The main calling part of the phone is CDMA.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Nobody uses the main calling part of the phone. I know I'm completely in alien territory
I
here.
put a T-Mobile SIM in this. I was able to make phone calls.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been that way for the last at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Two generations. So there is an unlocked Apple iPhone from Verizon.
Yeah,
if you're traveling, this is a good choice.
Yeah.
It's Verizon CDMA and LTE. Are they using voice over LTE yet? They will soon if
I
they're
heard
not.
no.
They started
Not yet.
switching it on in some markets.
Yeah.
Turn on
Yeah.
some markets. I think it's turned on in Houston.
And then when you travel, as I'm going to be next week to London,
You pop in a
What's going on in
prepaid
London?
SIM from 3 for 10
I'm
pounds.
going for the iTunes festival. I'm very excited. Going to see Plácido Domingo.
You're going all the way to London.
To see Plácido Domingo.
Okay.
I'm excited. Very excited. Actually, program note, this show will begin 1 hour earlier next week at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern time.
Because you're taking off right after the show?
I have a flight to catch.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to run out the door after the show and fly to see Plácido Domingo.
Yeah, so you go to...
Can't you see him cheaper than a flight to London?
We're going to London for vacation, but I will be seeing the last day of the iTunes Festival. I'm very excited.
What is the iTunes Festival?
It's the music the kids are listening to these days.
John. Apple does this every year.
It's a bunch of people get together and download music.
Is Bono
going
to be playing?
Bono will be there, as will 50 Cents.
50 cents.
I think you'll.
Yes,
I
I'm
think
sure
you'll
he'll
enjoy.
be there. What other old farts are going to be playing? And
Leo,
this is Kids Festival.
Have you seen the Robert Plant performance on iTunes from the iTunes Festival?
I haven't
This year. It's wonderful. The guy's still got it. It made me buy his album. I saw it last night.
He was fabulous with what's her name?
Alison Krauss.
Alison Krauss. It was a great album.
Well, he's really into world music and all different kinds. And it's so if you have Apple TV, it's on there, the full performance, 12 songs. He does a really interesting version of Whole Lotta Love that blends in Bo Diddley's Who Do You Love? And it's a great performance.
Almost over now, but Dead Mouse kicked it off. Beck was there. Tony Bennett on the 6th.
Tony Bennett.
You've heard of him?
Yeah.
Placebo. Elbow. I'm not kidding. The kids, they got wacky. Pharrell, you know Pharrell Williams, of course. Maroon 5.
So you're going to go check out some of the bands?
I'm going to see
the
last
one. You're going to be dancing? You're going to be taking some E?
Placido Domingo is an opera. Yeah, I'm going to take some E. Or is it X?
He means
I
vitamin
X,
E is what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's just good for the heart.
I'm into Molly. And I'm going to see this guy, Kenny Rogers. No, that's not Kenny Rogers. That's Placido Domingo.
Yeah, okay.
He's an opera singer, you know.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, looking forward to that. So, so that's just a program.
So you'll go to... when I was in London, I went to the 3, which offers prepaid SIMs for
and pop a SIM in there, unlimited data,
and
for 30 pounds. 30 pounds.
Yeah. It's a great deal.
For how long?
But you got to have an unlocked phone to do it.
For a month, and you have to have an unlocked phone. And this, so I was very pleased, and I didn't know because there was a rumor that Apple would or Verizon would be locking the SIM slot. Somebody told me on chat, and I don't know if this is true or on Twitter, that the FCC prohibits them. It was some sort of agreement.
That could be.
I think these locking things are silly at this point because you're in a contract. You got to pay to get out of it.
Absolutely. Why
so what difference does it make?
Really, what it's doing is it's hurting savvy people who don't want to pay the
Well,
roaming
it
charges.
actually saves them money because people can unlock the phone after the contract's over, but it's a rigmarole that it costs them time and money to do. Right. Just leave it unlocked, make them sign the dotted line, and you're good to go.
Actually, and I don't know what carrier he represents, but a listener heard that I was going to London, and they're going to drop off a MiFi card as well.
Oh, nice.
So we'll have Wi-Fi.
Oh, you'll be all wired up.
I'll be all wired up.
You never left home.
Yeah. But I thought I'd also bring the Moto X, and
I might as well bring 10 phones.
I got the complete set. So I got the Moto X.
You want the Fire Phone back?
Leather.
You should get somebody make a leather pouch so you can have all these phones stuck in like some sort of bandito.
Cognac leather back, and then I got the leather back on the hint. That's the
what's the hint?
Well, it's like the Scarlett Johansson earpiece that goes in for and you talk to your phone through it.
It's
I wish it had
Bluetooth
Scarlett's
device.
It's a Bluetooth headpiece designed for the Moto X, so it has some additional features.
Like
you don't
what?
have to touch it. You just say, "Hey,
oh yeah, that's gonna work."
Charlize, and it will respond to you.
Yeah,
and then
dialing mom. Yeah,
you look like an idiot, but that's okay. And it only has I think 3 hours battery life, so you can only leave.
Well, you have enough phones on you; it's not going to be a big deal.
Can I get a utility belt or something like a Batman thing that just
one phone, and when it goes dead, you grab the next one.
The Moto 360, the round Moto 360.
They should lock you up.
Well, I'm a little disappointed
utility belt
that you have to use a Pebble watch with the iPhone. There's no other, right? That's the only watch that'll work with the iPhone is the Pebble.
right now.
Yeah.
Right now. Working great with iOS 8 again, finally. Very nice.
the Pebble did?
Yeah,
Good.
they updated their software for iOS 8, and it works,
Awesome.
works really well.
Awesome. Let's see. Okay, that's that. Android browser flaw. Google launched phones in India, the Android One phones, for $105.
It's kind of high.
It seems like that's not cheap.
No, it's too high.
It's unsubsidized,
You should be able to
but
do
still.
it.
Yeah, I mean,
you can buy phones for $100 that are
Can you?
pretty, pretty useful.
Supports 7 local languages and offline YouTube playback, which is kind of interesting.
That's different.
Yeah. And
Leo, there's what's not on your list. I'm kind of astonished that it's not here. Is Larry Ellison quitting Oracle?
Oh my gosh, I forgot that.
It's not on the list.
So let's talk about it when we come back. Larry Ellison exits Oracle.
Wow.
He's the last of the grand horsemen of the computer era.
Yeah.
Well, you're
How many
one of the
horsemen?
horsemen.
No.
How many?
I think there were
maybe a
there was
horse or
Gates,
something, but not one of
there
the
was
men.
Gates, there was Jobs, there was Nolan Bushnell. I don't know.
No, you don't even know who they are.
I don't know who they are. John, you're right. That's why I'm going to ask you who they are.
I can tell you.
When we come back. The Mount Rushmore
Weren't
of
we supposed
Silicon
to talk
Valley.
about the Niners or something after the last ad?
We've
We never
pulled
did.
the TV away.
The game's over.
The game's over.
I have stopped watching.
You should just give
and
up on
you
these
renounce
things.
football. In
I
all its
renounce
forms.
football in all its forms.
I liked it too. I think renouncing football is a good idea.
I have to admit, on the bus home after the last game, because we took the bus
Took the
down.
bus.
To
Okay.
Beautiful stadium, by the way. Love the stadium.
They haven't won a game in it, but yeah, it's a great
Well,
place.
they've only played one game there. So, a few preseasons. All right, you're right. They haven't won a game there. I did strip my Colin Kaepernick jersey right off of me.
No,
gave it
you
to
didn't.
a homeless guy.
No, you
So
didn't.
You be number 7.
Nice try.
Our show today brought to you by Stamps. No, I didn't.
I know
'Cause
you
I'm not
didn't.
a fair weather fan.
No, I know.
bleed,
You bleed
whatever those colors are.
gold and red and
Purple or
bloody
whatever it
colors.
is,
Yes.
What are the Niners colors anyway? No, I know that. I was wearing my puffy gold jacket too.
Oh, puffy gold.
My throwback puffy gold.
I think, yeah.
That's my rapper name, by the way, Puffy Gold.
That's a good name.
They had Snoop Dogg at the halftime show.
What was he doing there?
He sang.
What was he singing for?
What did he sing? This big hit, the bark stops here.
The bark stops here?
No, it wasn't that. It's what's his big hit?
I don't know.
Rough.
Woof, woof. We don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody cares.
Our show
Did you have parachute pants, as somebody in the chat room wants to know?
You can't touch this.
Okay.
Snoop was good. It's kind of a different halftime
Knows
show.
what he's doing.
It was all right. It was good. It was
I would have been very bummed out by that particular
blunt
game.
I'm going to call myself Puff Goldie, but then next year it'll be P Goldie.
P. Goldie. Yes.
Goldie.
We're just going to have to stop now.
Our show today brought to you by Stamps.com. Why go to the post office when you can print your own U.S. postage?
That's what I say.
Right from your computer and your printer. And I ain't talking counterfeiting here. And I ain't talking a postage meter with special in quotes, special ink that's very expensive. It's just your regular thing. In fact, Stamps.com is so great. You know, sometimes postage meters, I think they charge you when the postage rates change. You have to bring it to the post office, and they go...
I hope they've changed that by now.
No, they haven't. Stamps.com, it's automatic, and they don't charge you. In fact, it's the best way to buy and print postage. If you are in the business where you're mailing stuff, even if it's brochures or bills, but especially if it's packages, if you're selling on Etsy or eBay or Amazon, if you need Stamps.com, it turns your mail fulfillment into something that's professional, works well, and looks great. In fact, you can even print those right on the envelope if you're sending something in an envelope with your company logo, the return address, print for any size package, print for any style of mail. You even get discounts you cannot get at the post office. And unlike the post office, Stamps.com never closes, so at 24/7 you're able to do your stuff. Important addresses from your address book. Use cost codes to track postage by spending by customer, automatic address verification, and discounted package insurance, all in one click. Plus, you don't have to handwrite forms ever. And I always think that looks a little amateurish. You want to, it's all printed out, including the customs forms for international mailing, the certified mail, the return receipts. They'll send an email out to your recipient saying, here's the code. It is great. You save up to 80% compared to a postage meter, and no more time-consuming trips to the post office. A uniformed representative of the federal government will come to your door, a.k.a. your mail carrier, and take your mail away. Right now, use my promo code TWIT. We've got a special offer for you. Just click that microphone in the upper right-hand corner and fill in the offer code TWIT. It's a $110 bonus offer. You get the digital scale, so you always have exactly the right postage. No more extra stamps just so you don't get it returned. And $55 in free postage to use over the first few months of your account, plus, of course, a free 1-month trial of Stamps.com. Go to Stamps.com before you do anything else. Click the microphone. Type in TWIT, Stamps.com. You no longer have to create a Google Plus profile when you sign up for Gmail. Google's really backing down on Google Plus. I don't understand why. I like Google Plus. Why would they? I don't understand why they would go to all this trouble and then just.
That's what they do.
I think there's some bad. I think they're admitting that they let their corporate strategy beat out good user experience by shoehorning too much into it.
Yeah.
Because they just assumed everything in Google was going to run through there.
I don't like
people
Google
haven't
Plus
embraced
at all.
it like that.
You don't?
Well, and it's crippled some of their other features. Like Hangouts is actually a really great feature, and yet it was extremely confusing on how to use it because it was so intertwined with Google Plus. And since pushing them apart a little bit, it's improved Hangouts. So I bet there were people inside Google saying, "Why do we have to do it this way?" And finally, they backed off a little.
So Larry Ellison stepping down at Oracle. Mark Hurd and somebody named Sassafras are now
Cats.
Oh, sorry.
Sassagas. What?
Saffra Cats. I'm sorry.
What cats are running Oracle now?
Wasn't Hurd
Yes.
the disgraced CEO that was forced out of HP?
Yeah, for being a sexist guy.
For harassing.
In this day of age of.
I think he's. What was he? I can't remember the details. But in any event,
he followed up. He came in. He was the cleanup person behind Carly Fiorina, and then someone had to come in and clean up behind him. There was a sexual harassment suit. He had hired somebody who basically was there kind of to be his hanger-on, and he was accused of harassing her. So,
and I remember Larry Ellison at the time when Hurd was fired, saying that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. I'm going to hire him.
Right, and next thing you know, he takes over.
He's running the company. So Larry was serious.
Hurd was also the CEO while all that stuff with the pretexting with the board was going on. So that there's that as well.
Hurd will run sales, marketing, and strategy. Saffra Katz will be chief financial officer and oversee legal and manufacturing operations. Ellison, of course, is not leaving the company. He'll be chairman of the board, replacing Jeff Henley, who's going back to his career at the Eagles. And he's also going to take on the title of
Eagles.
Yeah, Jeff Henley of the Eagles. Hotel California. It's not that Jeff Henley?
I don't think so.
He's also going to take on the title of chief technology officer. Now, he is 70 years old. He's a vital, good-looking man for that age.
Ellison?
He's Tony Stark. He's Tony Stark.
Is he Tony Stark or is Elon Musk?
Musk is Tony Stark.
Larry Ellison, one of the richest guys in the world, he
gave up on trying to catch Bill Gates.
The company, Oracle, I don't know how, has a capitalization of $185 billion, annual revenue of $38 billion. This is big iron databases.
Yeah.
Wow. Is it a good product?
I can't afford it.
It's dominant, I guess, at that price. So is he not like Bill Gates, like Steve Jobs, one of the guys? He founded Oracle in 1977 and ran it ever since.
He was always big iron, though. He doesn't count as one of the...
He's an enterprise guy.
Yeah. There's a lot of enterprise guys. I mean, you wouldn't call, John Akers, for example, some founding father of the computer revolution.
Gina Smith worked with him, was very close to him. I can't remember if she worked on a book with him.
No, Net.
She founded Net Inc.
Net,
which was a
something.
Which was a thin client computer.
Right. She was the
he was a big
CEO.
champion.
Yeah.
He was a big champion of kind of the dumb terminal. We'll run our software, which ultimately has become cloud computing. But
which is why I think he was always annoyed with the term cloud computing, because it was like he's kind of playing that game all along, and then this comes along.
There's a difference between client-server computing and cloud computing.
Is there really now?
I do think so. I think a cloud computer is still a computer with a CPU, its own storage and memory, but data is synced and stored in the cloud.
Google Chromebook.
That's more like a thin client, I agree. Yeah. But it does have its own CPU. The processing powers for the most part.
There hasn't been a terminal made since 1980 that doesn't have a CPU in it.
Well, but how much of a CPU? Usually it's just enough to communicate with the cloud. This thing is a full-blown computer. I mean, it can do all of
the
its stuff
Chromebook.
locally. Yeah. But you're right. It's much more like a thin client than anything else.
I think it's the same thing, just repackaged.
Larry owns the island of Lanai.
Yes.
Nice.
He
bought that in 2012.
It's
Although
a leper island. Very, very.
No, that's
Molokai.
No, it was
Lanai is where Bill Gates got married, right?
Yes,
Bill
it
and
is.
Melinda Gates got married.
They rented out the
and
whole island.
It's not that Larry's going to build his super secret lair, his mountain
It comes up
lair.
and down, and James
it's not
Bond has to
secret
go
if
in
he
there.
tells everybody about it, Leo.
Oh,
He
but
only
is.
bought it because Gates got married there, and he says, "I'll up the ante on Bill."
Turns out he's going to build hotels there. It's going to be very lucrative. It's a business decision. It sounds better when you say he bought his own island, like he's going to live there.
A lot of people own islands. A lot of these
Really?
super rich guys.
I'd love to
There's
own an
actually some. It doesn't surprise me.
There's some mud out in the Petaluma River that's
I
available.
want an island.
Yeah, island. Next stop for Leo. Island.
What's a good price on an island?
Dr. Evil's Island. You could buy Red Rock Island over here off the Richmond Bridge for $5 million.
Yeah,
That's not bad.
Yeah,
No, it's not bad. It's
Jamie
always been
can't
for
live
sale.
there,
Nobody
but-
ever wants to buy
That's
it.
a little more than this building would be. And this one's for sale.
So are you going to buy this building?
No, I want to buy Red Rock
Red Rock Island.
Island.
Yeah,
we'll
you
just
have to-
build on Red Rock.
Yeah.
Is there any internet on Red Rock?
No.
Yes, wireless. Yeah, you got wireless internet.
Larry is worth $46 billion, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. He also built, and Gina told us about this, the Japanese-inspired home. She said it was beautiful in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, you can't. They won't let you in.
Can't get in there.
I've been to his apartment though in Pacific Heights.
Really?
Yeah, and it's pretty aesthetic.
And he's a yachtsman. He competed in the America's Cup.
He used to.
Well, didn't he?
And he still runs the
he runs
boats.
the
he
boat.
still-
Yeah. He
Still-
sponsored the team that won, I think.
He also owns one of these. He owns a bunch of jets. He's a
Rich guy.
rich guy showing it off.
Yeah.
Flaunting
If I
it.
were 70 and that wealthy, I think I might retire.
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna do? Make more money?
Well, I think you should go for it.
Some say, according to San Francisco Chronicle's website, the SF Gate, that it's not. In fact, he's not really stepping down. He's
Well, he's the chairman, and he's got these co-CEOs, so he's
Right.
obviously still in control.
chief technology officer.
Yeah.
Sounds like he's still pretty much involved.
But why do this at all? I mean, if he's still
publicity,
if he's still involved, I think there are other ways he could get
Mike
publicity.
Wilson
He uses all of them.
Mike Wilson.
He's winding down.
Yeah.
Mike Wilson, who wrote the book, The Difference Between God and Larry Ellison. God doesn't think he's Larry Ellison.
Classic.
That's the name
Yes,
of the
that's a
book.
very classic
That's
line.
actually the name of the book. He says you can give him titles or take away titles, but Larry will have a profound influence in that company for a while to come.
Yeah.
I doubt there's a founder with more power, even Mark Zuckerberg, than Larry has managed to
No,
retain.
Mark's pushed around by a bunch of people.
Is he? Larry only gets $1 in annual salary.
Oh, that's always annoys me. It's like a
That's the
scam.
Steve Jobs salary.
And
Yeah, it's like I get $1.
7 million shares of stock.
Yeah. That way you could avoid taxes. I'm telling you, I have this. I'm advocating wealth tax because if a wealth tax goes into play, these guys who keep saying they want to be taxed
only make
more,
a buck.
These guys, well, it doesn't make any difference with the wealth tax.
And
you
the
get taxed for
government
your wealth.
still takes half of it.
They don't take
Pisses
any
me
of
off.
it.
50 cents this year I paid in taxes.
No.
Ron Enderle says he's the highest paid person in the valley. And that he thinks this is all stage managed to make investors who are mad at his, in fact, very high salary calm down. The big investor group, says Enderle, were having a cow over how much he was making and how badly Oracle was doing.
Well, if Rob Enderle says it,
must be true.
Believe the opposite.
I think it's
No,
Rob
Rob
Enderle.
It
is
is,
a
though.
good
There's
guy.
no
It says
Ron Enderle.
It says Ron here.
They're just trolling Rob Enderle now. They're just making him
Ron
Roy.
Enderle.
It'll be Roy Enderle soon.
Ron Enderle.
I think Rob's got a very good take on some of this stuff.
Really? Because
I'm
he's
sure
kind
you
of
do.
famous.
No,
for
he's famous
also-
for being quoted.
He's quotable. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's got his lines open. He's got a phone. Every phone goes right to him. You can always get a hold of him. And he says, "What do you
always
want to quote
returns your
for?" That's how he answers
Yeah.
the phone.
What do you want to quote for?
What do you want to
I'll
quote
give you a
for?
quote. Anything.
And then you say anything you want, and he got a zinger.
That's good. That's a good gig.
Yeah.
He started Oracle in 1977 with just $2,000.
That's what he says.
In his pocket. Did he write the database, or did he just...
Not that I know of.
Yeah. What is his skill set? Is he a salesman?
He's Tony Stark.
Definitely a lot of sales skills.
Yeah.
And schmoozer.
He's a schmoozer.
Although he's the CTO, so he must...
Yeah, that
hopefully he's
doesn't
got
mean
some
anything.
technical
It's like
chops.
Bill Gates, it's questionable whether he knows anything, how the database even works anymore.
Yeah. If anybody gets his brain in a jar, it'll be Larry Ellison.
Like
Lots of people get their brains in a jar.
The guy's going to be the president in 3,000. It's the guy with the brain in a jar. Hey, I got your brain here, Ellison. In a jar.
That is a strange way to compliment someone, Leo, really. This is the strangest I've ever heard.
I don't know what I meant by that.
Yeah, that guy's a real jar brain guy, if you know what I mean.
If anybody gets his brain in a jar, I think I'm punchy still from staying up all night for the iPhone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's totally the
As long as I'm on the San Francisco gate, this is a story. Now, I know John will have an opinion on this, but apparently the taxi industry is just dying in San Francisco because of
all the
Uber and
threes on the
Lyft.
side
Oh,
of that
man.
thing.
Yeah.
3.
San Francisco, a city that was the worst served by its taxis.
It was terrible.
Ever.
Terrible. However,
Big surprise that somebody found an
replaced.
alternative.
The number of taxi trips plummeted 65% in 15 months, according to the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency. That's a big slide.
Yeah.
The average number of rides per taxi in March 2012 was 1,424 a month. It's down to 500.
I feel bad for the cab drivers whose livelihood is affected by this, but this is an example of a city that was not served well. There were never enough cabs. The way they sold the cab medallions, it was all this kind of artificial constraint. Nobody wanted to change, and the fact is, San Franciscans were just tired. I mean, you could never rely on a taxi in San Francisco, and they're tech savvy people. And Uber and Lyft came in, and people just embraced it because now they could get a car. So I feel bad for the taxi drivers, but this is an example of a market that was being terribly served by traditional taxis, and people got an alternative and took it. It's not surprising at all.
Many cabs now have electronic hailing apps similar to Uber and Lyft.
I was in Portland, and they have what used to be called Taxi Magic, which is now called something like Bumper or something.
I don't want to have a different app for every. I guess if I live in San Francisco,
right? But if you're in Portland, you get that app,
Yeah.
and you use it, and that worked great. Actually, it worked just as good as something like Uber did.
Right.
But in San Francisco, it's just been a very backward taxi culture.
Well, this is another example of technology replacing something that wasn't working.
Yeah.
I feel kind of bad. The NFL made a deal with Microsoft saying everybody in the NFL will use Surface tablets during the games.
And they use them in all the pre-shows, and they have them, all these Terry Bradshaw's.
And they're in these special blue rubber things that says Surface on the handle.
That's like your little...
It's like that, yeah. Unfortunately, the TV announcers keep calling them iPads.
That's a great story.
That should have been...
That's a great story.
That should have been in the contract, because the NFL does a deal with the TV networks, and they should have put it in the contract. If they start doing that, then you're not getting this money. They didn't do that.
Week one, Fox commentator John Lynch told viewers the New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees was not watching movies on his iPad during a game. He said players had iPad-like tools.
Well, that's a fact.
Trent Dilfer on Monday Night Football wondered how long it took Cardinals assistant head coach Tom Moore to learn how to use the iPad. And at Sunday's game between San Diego Chargers and the Seattle Seahawks, a local television announcer balked when told the teams were using Surface devices. What? He said, I thought it was an iPad.
Well, the problem you're going to run into if they keep calling everything an iPad that's a tablet is that Apple's going to have to stop them from doing it, because they're going to lose their trademark. It goes public domain if you do. I mean, it's like...
And then they all will be
like
iPads.
Kleenex.
Yes, and that's what they'll be called.
Microsoft paid $400 million to be the official...
crap.
This is what they call it, the official sideline technology of the NFL.
You see,
that's the problem right there. That's
$400 million.
It's this weird divide, though, where like you can't tell the announcer to use. It's like product placement,
right?
Like the announcer can say whatever they want.
They could call it a tablet.
Yeah. Probably somebody should advise them that those aren't iPads and they shouldn't say
call
that.
It a tablet, please. Yeah.
You know.
Actually, a lot of people are saying good things about the Surface Pro 3. It seems to be selling very well. They may have turned it around with the Surface Pro.
I don't know about selling, but I do know that people like it.
It's sold out in many markets.
It sounds like it's It sounds,
they bring 10
They bring
into
10.
Cleveland and they sell them out. Sold out.
That was just the shipment for the Browns.
Yeah, for the football team.
Yeah. Well,
we see no evidence of this.
We see no evidence
see a lot
of
of talk.
success. Yeah. They've lost a lot of money.
Where's
on the
your
first two
Surface? You must have one because you buy
I do
everything
not.
that comes
I
out.
do not have a Surface.
You buy everything that comes out.
Yeah.
Everything.
I thought about buying one of those
But
Surfaces.
you don't have a Surface.
When they cut the price to like super cheap for the old model, I thought about buying one.
But you didn't.
I thought about it.
You got
exactly.
you got
I've
10
been thinking
iPhones
about
sitting
it.
here, and you got everything else. You got a
Roughly
Kindle.
10.
You
I
already
have
have.
no
You can
money left.
assemble.
I bought iPhones.
Yeah, you can assemble all the iPhones into something that's the size of a Surface.
This amazes me. This is where Apple's really strong. The high-end iPhone, the big 5.5-inch, if you got the 128 gig version, $950. That's more. I mean, people will not spend $300 for a PC. Oh, that's too expensive. You got a $250 one, but $950 for a phone.
No, that's why their
no
numbers are so
problem.
high. That's why Apple's doing so well. That's why it's a giant company.
It's stunning.
But most people don't see the $950.
Right.
They're still buying the contract, and so it's $499.
Yeah.
So
which is still pretty high.
Yeah.
Right. I got off the subsidized plan last year, and so this was the first phone I bought where I no longer was on that AT&T plan. And I told my wife, well, we're paying $35 a month for the phone I'm going to get. And then when it shipped, I heard her call from the other room. You paid $850 for this phone?
Yeah, there's people. A lot of people
I'm
can't do
paying
math.
$35 a month, dear.
And that's okay, right?
Yes.
My phone here, this little phone, which was like
I gave you?
No, the one you gave me is Anyway, this little phone.
Someday
$30 a month.
Your brain is going to be in a jar.
Yeah, it could be any minute. This $30
there
a
now.
month. $30 a month with a T-Mobile plan.
Oh, you have that 100-minute plan?
It's
That's a great deal.
I don't talk much on the phone.
Unlimited text,
unlimited text,
unlimited data,
unlimited data,
and 100 minutes.
And 100 minutes
phone calls
for $30 a month. And if you do talk too much, because sometimes you travel in,
does the phone stop working?
It tells you to call in and add some money.
Because it's a Go phone. That's why it's not a regular contract phone. It's a month-to-month.
Yeah, so you call them up and tell them I want $10 more of talking, and say, okay, no problem. And if you don't use the all $10 worth,
you talk like that?
Okay, no problem. Yeah.
You used to be a taxi dispatcher.
And
for the
so
San
when
Francisco
you
cab
give
company.
them the $10 extra for some more minutes, and you have you didn't use only but $8 of it, they put the $2 credit on the $30 for next month. It's like, why would you do anything else?
Is why T-Mobile is the #1 carrier in America today. No, right? No.
Are they?
I don't know.
Well, they should be. They should be.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
They're the biggest driver of change among carriers, but they're the ones who are kind of forcing the rest of the industry to come along. I think they're number 4 around the.
Yeah, they're not big,
ahead
but
of them.
they're very good. Everyone likes working with them. I love these plans. It works. And they don't steal your money. That's what I like.
Yeah, no, I think I like T-Mobile a lot, and it's why I was trying to get a T-Mobile phone at the Apple Store, and they had sold out. And even though they lied to me and said it's locked, I know that I can go to a T-Mobile store with a T-Mobile phone and they'll unlock it. They
Well,
go,
you
we'll
could go to with this anyway and put a T-Mobile card in. You said so yourself.
You're
so
right. I didn't know that ahead of time.
That's what I'd want is a Verizon.
You get the Verizon.
You get CDMA
Best
plus
of both
GSM.
worlds. Yeah.
That's the phone you want.
Yeah.
I agree. That is the phone you want.
Best of both worlds. That's what I'm taking to London, unless that Moto X calls my name in Scarlett Johansson's voice.
It seems unlikely.
Oracle has a new kit. I'm sorry, Oculus. I have Larry Ellison on the brain. The new Oculus Crescent Bay VR. What do you call it? Visor? Do you call that a visor? It's not a
headset.
Helmet.
Headset.
All right.
Clunky headset. Let's be more specific.
Now 360-degree head tracking, so you can look all the way up.
Oh yeah.
And all the way down.
And then throw up.
And this one looks a little more like a snorkel mask.
And it's got
nicer.
audio. Look at that little built-in headphones there, huh?
Yep.
Now, how much would you pay?
I think it'd be funny. You put one of these on somebody, and I don't know how you'd manage this. Maybe you drug them and then leave them sitting there and then take their clothes off.
So they don't know.
Yeah.
And they can't tell. They look around, they look down, they got clothes on.
Yeah, they're looking around, and then they take everyone's standing around a huge group like this laughing at them. I'm just imagining these kinds of scenes.
When does the Samsung made a version of the Oculus. They're working with Oculus. When does this Samsung Gear VR gear come out? Is it soon?
Did you buy one of those already?
$200. But you have to have a note.
Next year.
Is it next year? You have to have a note, which is
you have to have a note from your doctor, probably.
Yeah. Well, they do make me nauseous, so my doctor would probably get involved.
Oculus Strip.
Is this a gimmick?
I don't think so. I think we're not quite all the way there yet. But I think
early days.
I think it's and there'll be early adopters. I think for gaming, it's going to be big. I think it's going to be in either PCs or consoles or both.
Yeah.
But the people I've talked to who've used it have been blown away by it, and they say the latest version is just that much more impressive. That it's going to be a really immersive gaming experience. I don't think we're going to all be like in Neuromancer or something, where suddenly everybody is in the Matrix and we're all seeing things like that. That's going to be a long time, if ever. But as a gaming accessory, yeah, I think it's going to be big.
A Japanese company, Obayashi, is going to build a space elevator. Should be up and running by 2050.
Yeah, sure.
My mind will be in a jar by then.
Yeah, probably.
But
before then,
you could put that jar in an elevator and send it into
send it to the moon. Send it to the moon.
A lot of science fiction has posited that instead of this the whole problem with space travel is the Earth's gravity. Well, it's very expensive
you use
to
the
get
word
out of the.
Posited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that an incorrect?
Why don't you say posed or something?
Posited.
Posited.
Isn't that correct?
It sounds like leaving a dog
not deposit
crap somewhere.
That's posit. I posit.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying. I just pointed this out
I'm
because
sitting here with three writers. I'm not a writer.
Do you ever use posited when you write? Never. Never.
Rarely.
Be honest about
extremely
it.
rarely.
I'm just trying. I'm all for you, Leo.
It is a verb.
I'm trying to help.
Put forward as basis of argument.
Assume as fact. Put forward as a basis of argument.
Yeah.
It's like postulate, advance, propound, submit, hypothesize, propose, or assert. Which would you prefer of those? Here, let's play the audio.
I don't know.
Posit.
Posited. Posited. It just sounds like deposited.
Pause it. I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, pause it. As I'm pausing. I'm sorry. Now I'll get blamed for taking the show off the track. Just by bringing this
All I remember is I was talking about a space elevator.
I think space elevators are bogus.
This is the idea: is that the physics totally work if you can make a material strong enough to run that cable. And even this story, it's like with fusion, right?
Yeah.
It's always 30 years away. And that's actually what they say in this story is we think we can get the nanotube strong enough to do this by about 2030. So, so really it's just coming in 15 years. They'll be able
according
to build
Mr. Ishikawa, all you have to do is get something 100 times stronger than a steel cable.
Yeah. It's the physics work.
No problem.
The physics work. You drop a cable from space and tie it on, at the equator somewhere, and it's way cheaper than firing
in a bucket and then
it is true.
Raise it up.
Well, there's
you get in a bucket.
Well,
down on Earth.
It's counterweighted.
It's like something flying around.
There's two buckets. There's two buckets.
A couple of
96,000 kilometers.
Yeah. Yeah, and then for the next 5 weeks, you're being towed up.
Oh yeah, how
bucket.
fast is it?
Well, it's not going to be
robotic
very fast.
cars powered by magnetic linear motors.
Yeah.
Will carry people and cargo to a newly built space station at a fraction of the cost of rockets. It will take 7 days to get there.
No problem.
Right.
Where do you pee?
Expensive to build, but super cheap once you build it.
Just in space, I guess.
They can do
Nobody
it.
Cares.
Right now, we can make cables that strong, but we can only make them 3 centimeters long.
Yeah, they need to be a little bit longer.
Yeah, well, if you can do it for 3, it's just a matter of time.
This is one of those things.
A little tiny space elevator.
This is one of those things that it's like if they figure out a way to make this stuff, then
model.
it could totally change the technology of the 21st century. But it's probably more likely than not that they can't. But if they could, wow, that would be kind of awesome.
It cost a space shuttle $22,000 per kilogram because the rocket fuel is so expensive to take cargo in space. For the space elevator, a couple $100.
Yeah. That's the payoff.
Nothing.
Of building the space elevator.
Nothing.
And why just have one?
We should have them all over the Earth.
Yeah, everywhere you can go. So you take a quick
And
ride.
where do
Can
they
you imagine
go?
the disaster movies? Because then they'll like crash the space elevator and the cable smash.
And the thing comes
like super
falling
awesome
down into San
explosions
Francisco,
and stuff.
takes out the Golden Gate Bridge.
Well,
It's very
always does.
common.
And 'cause once
Every
you-
We already got
space
the
disaster
CG
movie,
for that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's already
Once
ready
you're
to go.
up there, then it's cheap to go like fly around.
Well, yeah, because you're in space then. So
There's no
it's-
gravity well. You just, you could take a can of Pam or
Yeah,
like
Pam. That's what we need in space. It's good for the environment to spray Pam in
And
the
when your
atmosphere.
brain's in the jar, it'll be a lot less weight for that.
I like Pam.
The Pam
Big
rocket.
giant Pam. Yes, exactly.
I'm going to the moon.
If
See you later.
If you have a match in the Pam, then you get a little thrust off of that.
That's
thing.
good physics.
No, for that you want to use Final Net hairspray.
That would work.
Very good. All right, we're going to take a break. I don't know what's going on.
Someone's been watching Gravity.
That was a good movie.
What?
Gravity.
I like Gravity, yeah.
Love that movie.
I like Gravity, but I didn't like the movie.
You like the fundamental force of nature?
Yes, it helps.
Right.
I'm with you on that, John. We'd
Keeps
all
them
be.
grounded.
That's how I keep all my stuff together.
It's how you keep your brain in the
That's
jar. Otherwise, it
right.
would just float out.
away.
Our show today is brought to you by Audible. Love Audible books. Of course, first thing I put on the new iPhone, the Audible app. Put it on every phone. Sign in. All the books I've ever listened to on Audible since the year 2000. Mike Elgin and I were having a battle over who joined Audible first. And it's very close. We both joined in the year 2000. But I think I joined in February 2000 and he joined in March or April. It's that close. Audible has over 150,000 now books in its library. I just finished Graham Nash's autobiography, Wild Tales, about his rock and roll life. Quite enjoyed that. My next one, and everybody's been saying, get to it soon, is WTF at Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Have you read that yet? Because I hear really good things about it. The story of Whiskey Tango Foxtrot sounds like something ripped from today's headlines. Something about I'll tell you what. I'll read. This is David Schaefer's new novel, The Committee, an international cabal of industrialists and media barons, is on the verge of privatizing all information. Dear Diary, an idealistic online underground, stands in the way of that takeover, using radical politics, classic spycraft, and technology that makes big data look like dial-up. Sounds really good.
It's a techno-thriller.
It's a techno-thriller.
Nice.
That's exactly what it is. Now, here's the deal. The reason I mention these books is because you can get 2 books free right now. A lot of us have been raving about the great new novel from Mark Russinovich. He is at Microsoft. In fact, he's kind of the guy who is like responsible for Azure at Microsoft. He did the incredible sysinternals. Microsoft bought them, hired him, and got him writing. His books, Zero Day, Trojan Horse, and Rogue Code are great because they again are ripped from the headlines. They're about hackers. In Rogue Code, Mark Russinovich talks about high frequency trading and hackers who get code into the stock market. It's just, I can't wait to read it. You're an Audible listener, right?
Yeah. So
what's your book?
Nexus. Since you mentioned Microsoft, Ramez Nam, who used to work at Microsoft, I believe, and he's got a great series that starts with a book called Nexus, which is about what if you could implant, basically code your brain to be an operating system and what would happen when you can start hacking your brain and other people's brains.
Oh,
and
wouldn't that be
awesome.
cool?
It's a pretty awesome book. Great speculation.
You liked it?
Yeah, very,
You've
very
had some
good.
great
And it's got the
sci-fi
ups-
recommendations.
And it's got the ups and the downs of that technology and how it would affect people, and the government wants to control it, and really good stuff from somebody who is from the tech industry and is also
that's
really
why I like
novelist.
Russinovich's books. 'Cause
Exactly, same
they're
thing.
so accurate. You know this is all true.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. There's an infinite amount of great material. Well, not quite infinite. 150,000 titles, more than you could ever listen to in a lifetime. Classics like The Heart of Darkness, read by Kenneth Branagh. The Legends of King Arthur and His Knights, Robert Louis Stevenson. There's all sorts of great stuff. And, of course, modern novels. All the big novelists' novels come out in audiobooks, same day and date as the books come out on the bookstore shelves. The new Jonathan Kellerman novel is coming soon, The Golem of Hollywood. I think the thing to do is to go to audible.com. Oh, Peter Thiel has a new book. Actually, I've been reading excerpts of this.
This is speeches from Stanford.
It's his speeches, okay. 0 to 1, Notes on Startups or How to Build the Future. Peter Thiel, of course, the man most famous for funding Facebook right in the earliest days, but he's a very successful. Is he an angel?
He was the guy that died on the
Silicon Valley
show.
Yeah.
That character was
he was supposed to be Peter Thiel. Yeah. This would be really great. So these are speeches that he gave, or a talk he gave.
No, he was a guest lecturer.
Oh, so there were lectures. It's 4 hours and 50 minutes. There's a good amount to it. Anyway, here's the deal. You can get 2 books free. We're going to send you to audible.com/twit and the number 2. Audible.com/twit2. All one word. You'll be signing up for the Platinum Plan. That's a subscription plan that gives you 2 books a month. You also get the daily digest of the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal as part of your subscription. That's awesome. But the first month's free, so you get 2 credits, you get 2 books, and cancel anytime in the first 30 days. Pay nothing, but those books will always be yours in your library. I think you're going to stick around. There's so many great things to read and learn and enjoy. If you've got a commute, if you go to the gym, if you walk the dog or do the dishes, there's nothing like it. Audible.com/twit2 and get started listening today. I think you're going to like it. 2 books free. If you've heard us talk about it, do it. Don't put it off any longer. How Google Works by Eric Schmidt. You should know. You should. This isn't out yet.
Co-author in this again?
Yeah, but this isn't out. This is coming out in a couple of 2 days. Eric Schmidt, Jonathan Rosenberg.
He does all his writing.
Yeah. And Alan Eagle. Google Executive Chairman and ex-CEO Eric Schmidt and former SVP of Products Jonathan Rosenberg came to Google over a decade ago. This is how they put together that first decade at Google. That's interesting. Joan Rivers, I hate everyone starting with me. She wasn't too bitter. Good stuff here. Audible.com/twit2. So pass this along to your friend Adam Curry. NVIDIA's new GPU proves there really was a moon landing.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I don't know what I am either. Let's see here. It says, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, there still exists some people who believe that the moon landing was a hoax, a TV drama produced by Stanley Kubrick and presented as fact to dupe the Soviet Union into giving up the space race.
Huh. Never knew this.
Well, what does Adam think?
I don't know.
All right.
Why don't
I'll have to ask him.
You should bring him on the show.
No, last time I asked him, it didn't go well. So
that's because
NVIDIA
you goaded him. You hate him.
I didn't goad him. I asked him.
You hate him is obvious. Very obvious to me.
This deliciously ludicrous conspiracy theory, I guess Engadget
Is that what
hates
it
him
says,
too.
Deliciously?
Yeah, has been debunked countless
what kind of
times.
writing is that?
But now its advocates, well, it's delicious. It was tasty. Now its advocates have one more refutation to deny. NVIDIA's Voxel Global Illumination Tech Demo, a GPU-powered recreation of the Apollo 11 landing site that uses dynamic lighting technology to address common claims of moon deniers.
This is a publicity stunt for NVIDIA.
Yeah.
It seems like a bit of a paper tiger they're jousting at. Can you joust at paper tigers?
And those people are just going to say, well, that's what they want you to think.
Have NVIDIA go work on why WTC 7 fell down. That would be more contemporary. I know. It makes nothing but sense that would collapse at gravity speeds.
3D rendition of a photograph showing Buzz Aldrin descending a ladder to the moon's surface. They show that the light is exactly right and so forth. So that's kind of cool. It is. It's a publicity stunt.
Yeah, that's a good
one. Of my favorite videos is the one of Buzz Aldrin punching some guy out who was telling him that the moon landing wasn't real.
Do that more often.
Well, that's exactly what you'd
Buzz
expect if he was lying about the whole thing. He'd hit the guy.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, it just proves it.
Yep.
Buzz is the man.
Mocking just the poor innocent public.
Buzz Aldrin. There's the real one, and there's the simulation.
It's actually the opposite. This one is a simulation, and this one's the real one.
That's my point. You can't tell the difference. Amazing simulation.
Actually, no. It says it in the video. It's actually flipped. No, in the description down here it says
they're the same size.
It's really hard to tell.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Oh no, right.
Which one's right? Which one's left?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm dyslexic. And
Internet retailers are facing new rules from the Federal Trade Commission requiring them. This is important. You should know this: to ship your order on time or offer a refund. Online sellers are going to be required to ship merchandise within 30 days of... I didn't know that they weren't.
30 days?
Within 30 days of purchase, or else give you the option for a refund.
That's nothing new.
Apparently not. The The rule prohibits sellers from soliciting mail, internet, or telephone order sales unless they have a reasonable basis to expect they can ship the ordered merchandise within the time stated. You know that this affects somebody like Coin, who raised a lot of money at $55 a pop for that charge card that you could pre-program, and they still haven't shipped it. They were supposed to ship it this summer, and they say no, it's probably going to be next year. That's not merchandise. That's raising money.
Yeah, it's different. It's not selling something. It wasn't.
I think a lot of people who paid $55 thought they were going to get a coin.
Well, they still might.
And they still might. All right, but not within.
Yeah, this doesn't seem to affect Kickstarter or something like that.
No, there's no way it would.
It's not a purchase.
So you're right, John. This has been a rule, but only for companies that sell merchandise through catalogs. And then telephone sales, it did not extend to the internet. It now does. So that's what's new.
All it did was just take the old law and make it
apply it.
Internet in.
Add internet, makes it with it and tip and cool. I think we're done for the day. I thank you so much. Tell us, we didn't talk at all about Macworld. We just kind of mentioned it. Tell us what happened.
Oh, well, a bunch of us. I've been thinking of leaving for a while, and it turns out that there was the timing was such that I left along with many of my colleagues. They laid off a bunch of people. IDG actually in general laid off a bunch of people. You'd have to ask them. I'm not sure.
Oh, come on. There's gossip.
He doesn't want to speak for them.
Well, I mean, I don't.
Well, he's not working for them anymore.
I don't know if I can profess to understand the reason this time. This is the
print,
latest in a series.
There's no question that print magazines.
Sure.
You were editor-in-chief of Macworld. You were at IDG for 17 years.
Yep. I think it's more complicated than any one reason, but and honestly, the founder and owner of IDG passed away earlier this year, and he had a really soft spot for the media.
Is that Pat McGovern?
Pat McGovern, yeah.
I didn't know he passed away.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was 6 months ago.
And so,
that's sad.
And so, the people in charge now do not have the same priorities. They have different priorities, and I think they're funding his foundation. And so,
what happens to Macworld Expo?
I don't know the answer. That's run by a separate part of IDG, and I haven't heard whether they're continuing that or not. They haven't announced that.
PC World has stopped publishing.
So what happened to Macworld magazine is that it went out of print just like PC World did last year.
Right.
They're still going to do a digital edition on the iPad.
So if I go to macworld.com, there'll be an iPad.
Yeah, and macworld.com and PCworld.com are still there, and TechHive and Greenbot, they're all still there. But the staff is much smaller than it used to be. Yes.
TechHive was yours, baby.
Yeah.
It was a little painful that it happened the day after Apple's iPhone announcement.
Yeah, I would say people have portrayed that as being sort of a calculated thing about Macworld.
Cold-blooded is the way it was seen.
But, well, I mean, laying people off, you can judge that however you like. I'd say those layoffs happened across IDG everywhere in the U.S., and that's the date they picked. It wasn't tied to just Macworld. So,
well, no,
it's the date they picked.
And in fact, there will be I think here October 21st, a new Apple announcement.
I hope so.
Those guys won't be there to cover that.
Yeah, that's the sad thing is that there are a lot of great people that I work with at Macworld. I've been planning my next move for a while now, but a lot of great people I work with there who are no longer there, and hopefully we'll be finding great new things to do.
Was really glad to hear Serenity Caldwell went to go to work for Renee Ritchie.
Yeah, she was leaving actually before this was announced. She decided she was leaving.
A lot of people just happened at Tech TV. People started seeing the writing on the wall before the actual.
That's exactly right.
Sale, and they started looking for work earlier. Chris Breen,
Chris Breen's still at IDG. He's
still there.
At Macworld.
Good.
Yeah, but
right.
Dan Frakes is looking for something new, and Dan Morin and a bunch of other people.
Why don't you put him on the network?
Well, Dan Morin actually is working already with Jason on a podcast. You guys do.
Yeah, we've got a podcast.
You've got The Incomparable. You have a new website called Six Colors, aptly named the Apple Colors.
Right, exactly.
Sixcolors.com.
From the old days.
And is it going to just be you on this? But you're already doing reporting.
Yeah, this is just me for now with some guest stars, since I've got a lot of friends who are good writers who are currently without a place to write. And over time, who knows, if it can grow and be a place that I can have other writers, then that'll be great too.
Well, I remember very well when I got my first Mac in 1984, there was a blow-in card for a new magazine called Macworld. Might have even included the magazine. I'm trying to remember. And I've read Macworld ever since 1984. So it is.
It's the end of an era. I remember
end of an era.
Getting those. There was a time when I wrote this piece that you're looking at right now for The Verge. I tried to mention there was a time when there were no tech blogs. There was no website.
This was how you learned.
And products would get announced in 6 weeks, 2 months later. You would. you would hear about them and you would pore over every page of those
I did it.
magazines because that's all the information that we got about new technology.
I did it. Absolutely.
Yeah. My first job was at Mac User Magazine, where the back page columnist was this cranky guy named John C. Dvorak. So it's been a crazy ride.
He was the
anti-editor.
Anti-editor. I was hired for the specific purpose of being a troublemaker.
Yes, and you did a great job at that.
Yes, well, that was the idea.
You could see. That was
they
a good
still
choice.
hate me. I mean, I was really too good at it. Wow. These guys hold a grudge.
Is there anybody printing computer magazines anymore?
Future is still printing Mac Addict
Future.
or Mac Life, although it's done out, I believe, largely done out of their UK offices now, the people who do Mac format.
I think in England you can find them.
Yeah, in other parts of the world there are.
So, but here in the States, we just don't read paper magazines.
It's there's still lots of paper magazines out there, but I think as tech magazines go, the rest of the industry follows because those are that's the cutting edge. Those readers are a little ahead of everybody else on technology, and the rest of them will get there.
I have to say, I haven't got a paper newspaper in 3 years.
I took a subscription.
I get the New Yorker, but I don't get the paper.
I took a subscription to the New York Times for a while, and then I remembered why I didn't take these subscriptions because I ended up with piles and piles of papers.
You can bring it next time because the only bad thing about not subscribing to the newspaper is I can't start my barbecue anymore.
Fish wrap. Yeah.
So I really
you guys
need
hurt my
that.
soul.
Yeah.
I know. Well, of course, Dwight Silverman, who is an ink-stained wretch from way back when at the Houston Chronicle. But even the Chronicle's gone through changes, and even your role there has changed, Dwight.
Yes, and increasingly we're online. But what's interesting about, at least in Houston, because the economy is so good, we're actually doing pretty well. We may be an unusual case for newspapers.
Actually, the one category that still seems to print magazines is gaming. Aren't there a couple of gaming magazines?
Oh, and also kind of like niche. I think like high end isn't. I think there are some enterprise. Enterprise. Because actually, a lot of the old school enterprise guys would rather get it, I think, on print than.
That way they can have their feet up on their desk and have the print thing in front of them, so nobody knows they're sleeping. Can't do that on.
Well, it's the end of an era, and Jason, I'm so glad you live nearby, and we expect to see a lot more of you here because I think you'll have some free time.
I love being here.
Where are you from? Where'd you move to?
Oh, I live in Marin. I live in Mill Valley, so it's just a short drive. I don't have to cross a bridge or anything. So if there's an earthquake, I can still get here.
I was talking to Jason Heiner at Tech Republic. He's writing a book about media and startups, and he was very kindly, I think, was going to include me in the book, and we were talking about my history and
your history,
starting with you back at KNBR in early 90s.
Yeah.
And I, started talking about computers, and you very kindly gave me some credibility by letting you were
hanging out.
Well, by just letting me answer some questions, some computer questions as they came.
You were a tech nerd. You're much more so then than now. Now you're just a phone guy.
I never wanted to be a phone guy, believe me, but it seems like people don't use computers much anymore.
Who would have figured that?
Who would have thought that? But and at the time, I think you were writing a column a day.
Yeah, I've gone through different phases of writing a column.
Column a day.
Not for any one periodical, but
I had
for
all of them.
All of them. Yeah, you were in every.
Yeah, I was all over the place.
I think I called you the world's most prolific computer writer.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. It's not that
do you still write at all?
Yeah, I write for PC Magazine. I do a little writing for Gina. For last year, I was writing for PC Magazine on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I write for the online, and then they have a tablet version of the magazine, which is different.
How's PC Magazine doing online? I mean, it's not as big as it used to be.
No, of course not.
When it had a print. I mean, they were king of the world for a while.
I think it's competitive online
with
anybody else.
So it's possible to make stories, make revenue doing
PC
that.
World has a lot of traffic too. It's on the web. And honestly,
Tech Hive is great.
As I left IDG, I mean, we were so focused on the web, and it was funny that the story was Macworld Print is shutting down because the fact is the editors have been focused on the website for years now, and the print magazine was always a best of the website compilation every month. So, but it's still sad.
Well, I'm so glad to have you here, and we'll hope to see more of you, and people should go to 6 Colors.
Did you just move to Marin? What's the deal?
No, I've lived in Marin since '99. Long time.
He comes up a lot.
6colors.com. Check it out.
But I just figure he'll have more time now.
Yeah. I'm not commuting into San Francisco anymore.
You could put his show on the thing. It's a distribution network.
It's technical. Put the show on the thing.
Put the show on the thing. Put your mind in a jar and put your troubles at ease, because the world is moving into a space elevator any day now.
Or just
let's all get on the
driverless
space
car
elevator.
from here to there.
ChannelDvorak.org.
ChannelDvorak.com. The No Agenda Show.
NoAgendaShow.com.
Try to bring the site down. It's Squarespace.
Squarespace.
And
You'll never bring it down.
We're talking about all kinds of stuff.
It's good to see you once again.
Always a pleasure, Leo.
Well, that was so insincere. I thought
it wasn't.
You really should attempt to be more sincere, I think. And Mr. Dwight Silverman, always a pleasure to have you. I'm glad things are going well at the Cron. And, man, if you lived closer, I'd like to have you in here, too, more often.
Well, I think sometime I think I may just say the hell with it and fly out there and break into the studio. And yeah, I think I might want to do that.
I think the last time we pressed the flesh was in 2010 at the iPad.
It was at the It was the iPad. First
iPad
a while. Launch.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been too long. So I need to get out there.
That because of CES and Comdex and people would get together a few times a year.
More social than today.
Not anymore. Everybody's in their own little tech hive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Our brains are in jars. That's
all just a bunch of brains in a jar. Hey, we do Twit every Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 2200 UTC. Once again, a reminder that next week will be an hour earlier because I'm going to try to get out of here and fly to London.
Off he goes.
Shortly after the show. I will not miss a show, though.
On a jet.
I'll be back before the next Twit. On a
first class, right?
Upper class, we call it.
Ah.
I'm on Virgin Atlantic.
Virgin upper class. Do you have to sing and dance like they used to do? Remember that?
What?
Yeah, you used to get you used to have sing and dance. You get a free ticket and get an upper class
to get on the
if you were like
plane?
Eric Clapton.
Oh, Virgin Atlantic, I want to fly with you. Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to get me a ticket. 2 p.m. we'll be
chops.
starting. And I do invite you all to join us live. But if you can't, we got on-demand audio and video after the fact every week at twit.tv and wherever better podcasts are aggregated. Look for iTunes and that kind of thing. I posit you will be back. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Another Twit is in the can. Thank you.